Have you ever watched something that completely rewired your brain chemistry?
A procedural network drama might not be your usual pick, but it's ours.
This is The Buddie System, a 911 deep dive podcast hosted by three friends who have DM'd each other enough character dissertations to earn a PhD in media literacy.
I'm Han, coming to you straight from the characters' heads.
I'm Sil, bringing you to the observation deck.
And I'm Rachel, connecting the dots with my red string.
With our powers combined,
No stone is left unturned.
And no buddy is left behind.
He has risen, baby girl.
fuck!
How do we even segue into that?
I just had to blast Iris to complete the circuit.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
Oh my goodness. So he has risen, guys. He's here.
He's queer.
And Buck looks...
Buck's the name of a male deer.
Oh my god.
These are the vibes we're bringing to you tonight.
These are high-key karaoke bachelor party levels of energy. As promised.
We're delivering. But yeah, welcome to the first episode of Season 2.
Season 2!
Yay! Also known as Under Pressure. Written by my man Tim Minear and Brad Fulchik. And directed by Gwyneth Horter-Payton. And it originally aired September 23rd, 2018. And it's part 1 of 2?
Yes.
Premiere?
Yes.
I did not know that.
I will talk about that in a moment.
Okay. Take it away, Rachel.
Well, first, let's get to the calls of the week, because we're still in dispatch. We're excited.
We are excitement. We are much excitement.
Okay, so for this second season premiere episode, we have a few calls of the week. The first one is actually kind of like a simultaneous, like, 4 buy 3 get 1 free sort of thing.
Wow.
It's all part of it's all part of like this very high pressure, like high octane opening sequence where we have a bunch of things happening at once, and it's to help, increase the tension and the pressure, and drops you right into the episode. So as a heat wave strikes LA, we get simultaneous emergencies. One of them is a bus full of tourists get into a road rage accident and the bus plunges into a building. The second one is a literal pressure cooker explodes in a busy restaurant. The next one is a groom steals a car as he leaves his wife at the altar and gets pulled over by our one and only Athena. And the last one in this sequence is a manhole cover blows off a road worker's arm and falls into a pool, which is so lovely. So that's kind of all happening at once. So I just kind of like mushed it together as one. Then our first real call of the episode is Stressed and Compressed, where a mechanic at an auto repair shop slips and falls onto the nozzle of the compressor, and the air pressure coursing through his body causes him to blow up like a balloon. The next one is what we're calling Failure to Launch, where a collector of military paraphernalia gets a live grenade embedded in his leg. And the last one is Wet Cement. I'm so glad I'm taking this as a compliment. I'm so glad you guys like when I do these. So the last one is Wet Cement, where a YouTube prank goes horribly wrong when a group of young men cement their friend's head in a microwave because that is what you do for views, apparently.
Do it for the vine.
I can't count the number of times that we've done that to each other.
Oh, yeah. That's
Yeah,
not your...
on a Wednesday night.
That's not your typical Wednesday night. Then are you having any fun, really?
Are you even living?
So, now that we've kind of gotten that out of the way, we're ready for season 2. This is super exciting. We've been waiting for this for so long, it seems.
I mean, come on, guys. It's only been like 2 months and a half. I mean, plus cancellations and rescheduling conflicts and insane summer of hiatus. And now we've evolved to le moustache and more tattoos and new haircuts.
There's so much happening.
Gosh. There's so much happening.
I don't know if this much normally happens in a 911 hiatus. I would be interested to know.
Maybe we're
from
just lucky.
The veterans, if you could let me know, or if we just like struck gold in our first one. But
it's like, welcome to the fandom. Here you go. It's like, okay.
Yeah, because like everyone towards the end of the season was like, oh no, it's going to be hiatus and everyone's going to go crazy because like there's no content, right? And then everyone just is going to spiral in their theories and whatever. And then these people just haven't shut up or left us alone. So,
no, especially Mr. Ryan Guzman and his like the trip to Hawaii with his little photo shoot and whatever that was.
We can talk about that.
I'm still waiting to get fucking slammed with that other photo shoot that he has teased.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be a problem.
Mm-hmm.
A good problem to have. But anyways, so amidst all of the hiatus stuff happening, and we've been just literally like chomping at the bit. If you've listened to any of our other episodes, you know we have been bringing up Eddie at every possible opportunity.
So normal about it.
So now we officially get to talk about him in an episode that he's actually in, and it is very exciting for us. We will, of course, talk about everyone else.
On topic.
Finally.
Suck it, Fox.
I'm going to Disneyland. Oh, God.
Why is that so great and accurate to the situation?
By the way, I'm still pitching the Disneyland episode since, Disney, ABC. Come on, guys.
Oh my God, they
could do it. They could fucking do it.
They could do an entire episode of like calls in the park.
Uh-huh.
No, we're not doing Disneyland. We gotta do Disney World, baby.
That's in Florida. They're in LA. I know why,
care.
Rachel. I know why, Rachel.
She's like, come film here.
Rein it in a little bit here. So of course, we're going to be talking about all of the other characters, just like we've been doing for all of season 1, but we're just extra excited. And because we have a feeling this episode might run a little long, in a good way, because we have so much to talk about, obviously, we're gonna, I think, jump right into the Jaws of Life, our deep dive, just to kind of get that out of the way, because I think there's just a couple fun little snippets, tidbits here and there, and then we can get into the themes and the character arcs and so on and so forth.
Take us away, Dad. We're gonna need the Jaws of Life over here.
Oh, that's me. I'm Dad.
Just like,
you yelled at me the one time I called you Mom.
Well,
You were like, excuse me?
It's all good. I am Dad.
You are.
Okay, so let's just go into our deep dive. I found some interesting things since, again, we are newer to the fandom still, and we weren't really around when everything was happening, like airing live. So in preparation for the second season, I found a number of articles that we can link in show notes and everything. And I found a couple basically saying the same thing. So the first one was announced on June 28th, 2018. So season 1 again ended in March, I believe, like mid-late March. So Fox set a fall premiere date for 911's second season, as opposed to having it air again at the same time the next year, like the January to March sort of situation. So they must have really been impressed with the numbers, that they made it a longer series order or a longer season order. So they got the 18 episodes as opposed to 10. That plus a fall premiere would air in, I think we said this was late September. I think we said the 23rd, and it would go to March or May. I forget.
It's 18 episodes, so I think May, because of the hiatus, the mid-season hiatus.
Thank you. And in addition to making it 18 episodes as opposed to 10, a fall premiere, which is when like a lot of the big hitter shows come on, they actually decided to make season 2 a 2-night, 2-hour special premiere, which is what you noticed earlier, Han. So it was the first episode, so the episode we're talking today, premiered on Sunday, right after an NFL doubleheader. And then the second part would air the next day. So that would be Monday, the regular airing day. And it would go in its usual time slot. So this was just like an extra special, like, boom, here you go. 2-episode premiere, very much. And when you watch the episode, it is very much like a first half, second half sort of situation. I think 911 is like pretty typically does that. So I thought that was kind of cool. And then one of the next big things was Jennifer Love Hewitt joined the cast, especially after the exit of Connie Britton's Abby in the last season. And we've talked about this before, that Connie Britton only had a 1-season deal. And Ryan Murphy had said in a couple articles that they were going after big names for characters to kind of fill in dispatch operating roles. So they got Jennifer Love Hewitt, who's been in TV a very long time, and the casting announcement was made on May 14th. So this was a little before all of that information with the fall premiere date locked. So they're, in the works getting things ready. And then similarly, and not too long after that was announced, it was announced that Ryan Guzman joined the cast. The article was published on May 23rd. So 9 days later, not even 2 weeks after. And it said that Guzman would be a series regular firefighter who joins the firehouse led by Captain Bobby Nash. And interestingly enough, in a promotional interview thing between Ryan Guzman and Oliver Stark, who plays Buck, Ryan Guzman said that he got the role of Eddie without having to audition for it. And this was the first time that he hadn't had to audition for a role. And it was because he had auditioned for another show that didn't end up working out. But as he said, I think it was quote, people liked him. So they brought him on board as Eddie. And we can link that little YouTube video, compilation.
Sure, the whole fandom has seen that one.
Probably, but
we don't know.
Just to be
normal people could be watching this.
I like to have the resources all available. I want to see it. I want to see it again. I want to read the articles. So,
and there's a lot of new people to the fandom.
Yeah,
I know.
We're learning about the fandom history,
yes.
As we're doing this. So
not everyone injects it into their veins immediately like we do.
Guilty.
Listen, I'm just saying, what's it called? The Ryan and Oliver show video clip is pretty popular.
It is.
It's
true.
But also, it's just fun to watch.
That's all I'm saying.
It's just enjoyable.
Sure
Even if you've seen it before, watch it again.
Yes.
I feel like it's like when Tom Holland's umbrella comes down your timeline.
That's exactly what it is.
You have to watch it. It's required.
Must watch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They should do it again. By the way,
tradition.
At Ryan Guzman and Oliver Stark, do it again.
Yeah.
I don't know how, just do it again. That was my pitch.
At ABC.
At ABC.
When you're working on the promotional photo shoots and videos and everything, just throw
Give
that
them
in
their
there.
show again.
Just,
Yeah.
for funsies. And then the last little tidbit that I found kind of interesting was an article that was titled Fox Treats Second Season Launch of 911 Like a First Season Debut. And it's kind of interesting, a little more on the like marketing production aspect that I thought was kind of intriguing, because I wouldn't normally like think about this or know to even look for this kind of stuff. And it was essentially Fox was doing a very big promotional campaign for this second season, which for a sophomore season of a show, sophomore seasons don't usually get as much of a marketing budget as a freshman crop of shows would be, because that would be like what they're really pushing. But the chief marketing officer said, and her name is Shannon Ryan, she said, while 911 came out of the gate strong in January and was the number 2 new drama of last season, we've only aired 10 episodes. So since the show is still young and there are so many fantastic promotable storylines this season, we felt strongly that we needed to make the return this fall as one of our top priorities. Oh, and she also said, additionally, it's the start of their premiere week. So I guess like as it aired Monday, that is like the Fox premiere week. Like all of the new shows would be airing that week as well. So it's also a great promotional platform we can use for all of our other premieres. So Fox was like really putting a lot behind the second season of 911, and they did a lot of billboards that had like 3D features. And kind of like, I think they did one with like the tour bus kind of like sticking out of the billboard like we see in the show.
Oh, that's cool.
I'll include that article too. I just thought it was really interesting, the kind of efforts that the marketing has to go through, especially for a second season, which doesn't usually get as much consideration. Typically.
I think because it was like basically a half season for the first season. And like you said,
and it did so well.
The numbers must have been so good that they were like, okay, let's actually.
Yeah, especially when you remember that it was renewed for a second season in its like third week of airing. Yeah. Like it was still January when they renewed it. So they were really gunning for it, and it's paid off. Yeah. So I thought that was kind of cool stuff. I hope you think it's interesting too. But now we can like start getting to the meat of the episode, what we really want to talk about.
Flashover.
Shall we take this time to go into some of the themes of the episode, and then we can really get into some of the character arcs?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, we can't forget about that.
I scrolled straight past that.
Oops. So obviously this episode is titled Under Pressure. So pressure is going to be, in true 911 fashion, it's going to be a big factor in the theme of the episode. But it's kind of more about whether it's like internal versus external pressure is kind of what I thought. So like internal would be more self-imposed, like the pressure that you're putting on yourself. And it can kind of overlap with a little external pressure, like societal pressure, and sometimes how you internalize that external pressure, that societal pressure. And it's like, just building and building and building in addition to the physical pressure in the episode that makes things go boom. And we see at the very end the pressure of the literal earth with jump starting the earthquake arc. I don't know what I said. That was so funny.
I just heard it in Eddie's voice. That's all.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm channeling.
Make it go boom.
Well, what makes it go boom?
So, in addition to like kind of relating to those self-imposed and societal pressures comes a lot of shame and insecurities, and one can kind of like roll right into the other. Then with pressure comes an inevitable release, right? Because you either like crumble under the pressure or like you overcome the pressure. So it's kind of on a more like
it's gotta go somewhere,
as we see a few times. Quite literally, it does have to go somewhere. So besides, physical pressure, like we see with the mechanic, who gets pumped with a lot of air, and that air has to go somewhere. You can also see how each character releases the pressure, and by how they react to it. So like how they handle it. Sometimes a couple of the characters may end up lashing out and pushing back with like the same amount of pressure or even more. And some just kind of buckle under the pressure and split and run away. So, that kind of like how you deal with the pressure, essentially. And then another thing is loneliness or the fear of being alone. I think we see that kind of pop up a number of times in this episode, especially when, you're kind of, even when you're surrounded by people and you may still feel alone. So just like the fear of being alone can also cause pressure and shame and insecurity as well. So a lot of these are like very interconnected, as we see a lot of times, but kind of like different facets of that same like pillar theme. And then what makes things go boom is kind of another theme as well, but kind of like what specifically makes things go boom, like chemistry and tension, whether that's, like chemistry, like physical properties, like we're talking about with the manhole cover, about like they said it was like the frayed cables getting overheated and then they start to smolder and the buildup of combustibles, but also like chemistry and tension.
There's another one.
Boom. But also like chemistry and tension between people as well.
Oh, I have the same note in here.
And I just wanted to specifically highlight that because it is brought up twice in the episode and in multiple different ways. Because I think the first time it's brought up is when we see Athena and Bobby get together, and they're talking about like the actual, like the physical chemistry, like of the water and power department. But then also like you see their chemistry, so it kind of is right out of the gate, like this layered thing. Anyways, so that's kind of what we want to keep.
Mom and Dad.
I know it's Mom and Dad. It's like,
gross.
Are we allowed to see this?
Ew.
I'm just kidding.
Are we allowed to see that? I don't know. Nobody else was.
Who's cooking? Let's put our fingers in those brains.
Oh,
God.
Cassandra Nova style.
Yeah.
Here's another face for you. How many memes can we make of Rachel's face just looking disgusted?
Many.
We make a collection so that we can reply to people replying to us with just your face. Just an assortment of your face.
More passion, more energy.
More footwork.
More face
The one
work.
thing we will not provide you. We will not provide you with footwork on this show.
Oh.
No.
You see our faces?
We will provide you with some psychoanalysis
of
characters.
As always, getting into who's cooking.
Starting with Mom and Dad.
The relationship's cooking, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, they're cooking.
I felt like that was specifically mocking the way that I say that in the segment intro.
No,
I was called out.
I was emulating it
because that's how I say it.
Who's cooking? I love it. I was just trying to be you.
Oh, thanks. But yeah, so Mom and Dad are together still,
Woohoo!
and we get to see them making out on the job, which is weird.
Scandalous.
It is scandalous.
A scandalo.
Oh yeah, this is the energy we really need.
So yeah, we see them like making out like in secret, and like at first you're like, oh, it's because they're on the job, but no, it's because it's a secret relationship and they haven't told anyone.
Which also, like, if they're trying to keep it a secret,
yes,
you're
making
so
out
public.
behind the engine on the job,
it's literally in broad daylight against your own fire engine. Like
they're
I thought they were smart.
They when you take two smart people put together, dumb.
Yeah. It cancels.
brain cells go bye. It does.
Oh God.
But yeah, so like they have this secret relationship, which like I can understand like when something is new, and especially when they're both coming out of, you know, these huge life changes, trying to just like see where things are gonna go,
like take
but
things
it's like
slow and
but it's gotten to the point where like they're serious about each other. Like it's been several months and they're still keeping it a secret and not even like going out, which is weird because the first date we see them on is like out at a restaurant.
Yeah, and I don't think like it wouldn't even be that weird to
find them out together.
Exactly, to the rest of the 118, because literally, like, Hen is one of Athena's best friends, and, like, Athena shows up at the firehouse all the time, and they all have, like, dinner together, so, like, it wouldn't be that unusual, or that, like, I don't know if it would necessarily be, like, not out of nowhere, but it would be just kind of like, yeah, this kind of makes sense, which we see Hen say at the very end is like when she was like, I'm just mad I didn't think of it first
to do it. Yeah.
I don't know if they did run into someone from the 118, they could have just been like, yeah, we bumped into each other and we were just like talking and like that's it. Like be smart about it, but they're stupid, I guess. So
yeah.
Well, I think it's Athena doing this classic Athena thing that we see her do over the seasons,
yes,
which is she gaslights herself into thinking that something is bothering her to like hide her own feelings from herself. So like, she is trying to like play off like wanting to stay inside with Bobby and not go out, and then like the tension builds and builds, right? Until there's a lot of pressure, and then it explodes because she feeds him all this shit that she has convinced herself that she believes is the problem. But it is not actually the problem. The problem is that she's scared of getting hurt again because she just got out of this. How long was she married to Michael? Like
way too many years. Like
at least 14, 15, 16 years.
Like somewhere between like 15 and 18, something like that. Because like
so a long time. So she's been in this relationship for a long time and she had her heart broken. And so she's really scared to like invest again.
Yeah, because her trust like was so broken.
Right. And then like before she got with Bobby at the end of last season, we saw her saying like, I want unattached things. Like I'm not trying to like be in a serious relationship. But then, she fooled around and fell in love. So, whoopsie, didn't really mean to do that. It just it's one of those things where it's like when you're not looking for it, it's there. Exactly. And now she's scared.
Yeah. And it's like we do kind of see her do this similar thing in season 1 when she and Michael were trying to like play house and pretend that everything is fine, everything is dandy, we're doing it for the
Nothing
kids.
to see here.
Yes.
Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Exactly. Like we're totally fine. We're doing great. We're doing this for the kids. So the kids will have, family. And then it was mostly Athena being like, I want to kind of like show this facade of strength that she's like this brick wall essentially, and nothing gets to her, which is beneficial when she's on the job, but not in her personal life. So we see her doing this again with Bobby this time, and it's kind of like, it's a little heartbreaking because at the end of season 1, we saw her have like so much growth and so much like kind of coming into her own.
Mhm.
And like even the last episode, one of the themes was all about like freedom and breaking this kind of cycle. And we kind of see, I mean, I know there is a time jump, which is kind of like, it's a double-edged sword. It's like we want to see that development, but like time restraints and everything like that.
Yeah, but growth isn't linear. You know what I mean?
No, it's not. It's just like, oh, it's disappointing.
Especially when it comes to emotions and, you know, relationships. When it comes down to it, like, you're always going to be scared when something means something to you. Like, there's always going to be fear there because when you
the stakes
care
are
about
higher.
someone, yes, they can hurt you.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, of course, you're going to be scared, especially with your most recent experience being not good.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that internalized shame that is really at the root of the issue about her insecurities. But she also, like, before she really gets to the heart of the issue of like why, you know, she doesn't want this relationship to become more public for people to know about it, because then it's more real that way. But she also talks about some of those other external pressures and
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily like when Bobby asks, is it a black or white thing? She's like, no, but she's in this like different kind of position where, you know, like her no one in her family has gotten a divorce. So it's like the shame of failure is making her so hesitant to even try for success, you know?
And spoiler alert, like if again, this is a rewatch podcast, so we know what happens. I mean, her parents are, mostly her mother is a piece of work. So
ooh, that's a good tie-in. Yes.
Her mother's a piece of work, so you can imagine like the judgment that she's going to receive or has received because of the whole Michael situation and then getting with Bobby. Like, it's just like, no wonder she feels some sort of shame. And then one, not being like some of the things that she says, like not being able to keep a husband, not being able to like just feeling shame for trying to, I guess, move on, be happy. Like, she's going to get judged by her mama. And
talk about pressure. Like there is no kind of pressure like parental pressure.
Oh yeah.
Unfortunately, I think that her mother would get along really well with the Buckley parents. Because they're all of this category of people that I fucking despise, which is not actually caring about like your family, but caring about appearances and obligations.
Those societal expectations.
Yes.
And it's,
so that's
and
what,
it's weighing
so
those
that's what
differently.
Yeah, so that's what she's kind of like latched onto and like spouting off to Bobby as the reasons that like she doesn't want to take the relationship outside, which I don't doubt is part of the reason, but it's not the main thing. It's just you know,
it's part of the pressure salad.
Adding to yes. The pressure charcuterie board.
Delicious.
I don't think we see inside Bobby's kind of mental state here as much, except for that, like, he's all in. Which kind of just seems like his personality is just like if he's going to be committed to something, he's going to be 100% in. So he's like, I want to do this properly. Like, I want to take you out on dates. And like, why can't I do that? Like, I've tried to do this so many ways. And so now I'm just going to like surprise you / ambush you because trying to plan it hasn't worked. I mean, to be fair, he tried every other way.
Yeah, when his back's up against the wall, it's like, and this is where we see how people deal with pressure a little bit because he's been trying so hard not to push and like be respectful and mindful of Athena's situation and her feelings about that stuff. But like when he pushes a little bit, which I think is kind of a fair, like, hey, why don't we go out? And then maybe you won't be able to say no as much. So when he pushes a little bit, Athena pushes back a lot. And she says that to Michael later. Like,
she does.
I felt pressured, so I pushed back. And Michael's like, yeah, I
Well,
think I did.
when she says like he pushed me, he's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Because he knows like he knows her and how she reacts. You know, but like Bobby did try to talk to her about it. Like we see him trying to talk to her about like, I want to like take you out on dates, and
like literally
it's alluded that
like
this is like
conversation.
that this is like the umpteenth time that he's tried to have this conversation. So he was kind of left with like, what's my last option? Like trying to just like make it happen. And you know, sometimes I feel like that's the only choice you kind of do have.
Yeah. When you're pushed into a corner yourself.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, like, because it's like something has to come to a head. Like a conversation has to be had. And if she's not willing to have it, then it's like you either have to kind of try and make her, or you have to like cut your losses and either just like accept things as they are or walk away.
And Bobby's not a person to walk away like that.
And he's not just going to be like, yes, this is fine.
And we, even though, like you said, we don't really see inside his kind of state of mind a little bit, we do kind of understand how the situation is a little different, at least from Athena's perspective for Bobby, because, you know, when they're having that kind of tough confrontation, and Athena's like, for you, it's like a success. It's
a triumph, I think, is what she said.
Yeah, because they were comparing to redemption. Like, it's a redemption.
Redemption, yeah.
And Bobby's like, how is this not a redemption for you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
she just hits him in some of those pressure points.
His soft spots.
And he and the only way he can react is just like, please go. Like, that's it.
Please go away.
Which I think was her pushing him to the brink where like he couldn't deal with it at the moment. But it was like,
because I feel like he was gonna like, I don't know if she was trying to like goad him almost to like fight.
I think so.
I almost feel like she was.
Yeah. And I don't feel like
she knows how to fight. She knows how to argue, and she does it well.
And I don't think that Bobby likes to do that. Like, we see him do that for sure.
But he's
like,
not
especially,
confrontational.
No. And the more that he evolves, you know, over the seasons, the more he tries to de-escalate things. Like, he is not going to, like, even in their relationship, like, it's very rare that, like, he rises to that level to match that energy. You know what I mean? So I feel like because she really did, like, she, like, 1-2 punched him in those, like, really tender points that, like, are not healed over. He was like, you need to leave because I don't want to yell at you. Like, I don't want to retaliate. And you hurt my feelings. And I need to go cry. So you need to leave.
Yeah. And it's just like, because like right off the bat, like we as the audience are rooting for them so strongly because of everything that we saw them go through in the first season or with Bobby prior to season one.
Like, they complement each other so well.
And it's just like, you want them to get through it, but it's also kind of like you have to acknowledge that there is some legitimacy to, you know, what Athena is feeling, but also like it's completely valid that Bobby sees Athena's situation as a triumph just like his as well, which is a really like beautiful thing. But, you know, it's just kind of like having those ideologies at conflict with each other and I guess kind of like fault lines, you know?
Jesus Christ.
But yeah, I think it's really great to see that that Athena still has this relationship with Michael where she can confide in him and like they're still friends and he still knows her at this point better than anyone else. So he does kind of poke her to get her to talk about what happened, and he's very upfront with her that like, you are scared of getting hurt. That's what this is about. It's not about any of these other things that you're telling yourself. It's really about you being scared to get hurt. And he's like, what's the worst that happens? Like, you know, you could be happy, and if it doesn't work out, like, you will be okay. It will be like, it will eventually be fine. But like, if you don't try, if you don't let yourself be open to it, like, you're never going to be happy.
That conversation that Michael has with Athena is really beautiful too, because I mean, talk about the fear of loneliness, and sometimes it, you know, like, is it safer to be alone? Yes, but are you going to be happy? No. So like, sometimes it is worth that risk of high risk, high reward. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. And Michael even says, you know, fear trapped him in a closet. And embarrassment kept him from admitting the truth to Athena. And I kind of feel like this so closely mirrors what Athena is going through right now, that it's the fear and the shame that is keeping her like alone, essentially, and the insecurity, the embarrassment from saying so. And then he said, you know, until he stopped trying to control it. And he just like let it happen and kind of like let go a little bit. Here's another like instance of learning to let go, famously from
hard to tell Athena of all people that she can't control something.
Oh yeah. And we said this from, you know, the second episode of last season. Like, Athena has problems being able to let go because she holds on very tightly because her control, like, having control is her safe space, which is, again, why she's having this whole issue in the first place. It's almost like a coming out for Athena in a kind of like way. Obviously not in the same, but
it's a relationship reveal and a very cute, like, Hallmark esque moment, and then everyone's exchanging money because of everyone fucking bets on everything in this station.
That is one of my favorite bits of canon lore, is just everyone betting on everyone else's relationships.
Yeah.
And it's so in character for all of them.
It is.
Just like fantastic. But it's really nice that, you know, after that conversation with Michael, that Athena does kind of take the leap to...
It's a leap of faith.
It is a leap of faith, which is...
I do have him. It's a leap of faith.
Miles Morales. But I think also, like, what helps her have that leap of faith is that, you know, one of the things that Athena and Bobby connected on from the season finale in season 1 was their faith. And I think that is a core pillar or part of the, like, a cornerstone of the foundation of their relationship.
Yeah. The Athena Foundation.
The Athena Foundation. Yes, I was trying to I was trying to find the correct architecture metaphor there. But yeah, so I think that really helps. And, you know, just as much as Bobby goes all in, when Athena decides to go all in, she's all in.
Yes.
Not even like, she obviously didn't tell him beforehand. She just like shows up, walks in like she owns the place, because she does. And
well, she's meeting him more than halfway.
Like,
she's answering him and resolving their fight without having to actually, and this is a common thing in their relationship, is that they resolve their fight without actually talking about it.
Yeah, it's like resolution avoidance a little bit, but in a way where, like, they're both okay with kind of being like,
louder
okay.
than words. Yeah. I mean, it works for them, but it's just funny that they never actually
that is
talk
something
things out to resolve it at the end most of the time.
That is something that we see a lot in their relationship, and like, it works, but it's also like kind of, sometimes I think you need to talk it out a little bit longer.
Just a wee bit.
Just a little bit.
But so we'll see that is kind of like a hallmark of their relationship as we go through the seasons as well, and just kind of like how they deal with the pressure of conflict within their relationship. A little bit.
Yeah.
So, you know, Bobby sees her making that gesture, like that grand gesture. It is a very grand, like, kind of romantic gesture, and So he's
very
like,
cute.
he's able to push the rest of it aside because he knows what she's intending with that. And then we get to see everybody else's reactions to it. And Athena is also kind of like specifically looking for Hen's approval. And like, it seals the deal. So there is also like, as much as they kind of like put all of that outside pressure, you know, shoved it to the wayside and kind of like put it to bed for the moment, there is still a little bit of a like, is this okay? Are you cool with this? Like, we're good. And of course it's good.
Yay.
I guess we'll also talk a little bit more about Bobby's interactions with Buck when we get to Buck. So
yeah,
because I think that's
Buck related.
Mm-hmm.
So Chimney.
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 Chimchurry.
Chimchurry. Wow, how has no one ever done that to him on the show?
Oh,
Anyway.
They're on ABC now, so...
Oh my god,
Disney.
they could. Do it.
Season 8. I want a Mary Poppins reference.
Let's go. Anyway, Chimney, he is back at it again in his insecure era.
Different.
And
but similar.
Different. But he is he's putting himself out there. Like he's trying to build representation and confidence, like at the same time. You know, the crux of it is that he's like, this calendar is full of ripped, mostly white men. And, you know, that's just perpetuated how, you know, in every other form of media
ever.
His entire life, you know, the main character, you know, is never him. It's never an Asian person. It's never someone who looks like him. So he wants to not just see himself, but see someone who looks like himself in that calendar, but also is like,
why not me?
He's like, I'm hot. Why not? You know, like I think he does have confidence, but it's like
he's building
shaky. It's shaky because of like the world around him and how you know he's been treated, which is understandable.
Which is that external factor. So we see like from the first season, he really has built up his confidence in himself, and he's like very sure of that, which is wonderful to see. But it's now having to deal with like, okay, I feel good about myself in like my world,
in his head, but
in his head,
and then he's
everything
unsure.
else.
Yeah,
where he
like,
fits in.
Because he has the bravado where he's like, you know, I think that everyone is ready for a new Asian sex symbol, and it's very, you know, much like the stereotypical like Chimney, not complete false facade, but like he's really like he pours it on heavy.
Yeah,
and he's
it's like he's manifesting it.
Yes, he's
or like fake it till you make it sort of thing. It's like, I'm going to project this extra confidence, so eventually it'll just be inherent. Yeah.
And I think he does it. I think he does that over the top thing when he's unsure of how the people around him will react to it. So he's like confident, like you said, in his little mind palace, but then he's unsure like how his team is going to react to this.
Yeah. Which of course they're going to be, well, you would think they would be supportive. And for the most part they are. Except when the others' insecurities eat at them in turn. Yes.
There are moments. Yeah.
We'll get to that.
But like Hen has her own problems with the whole idea of this calendar in general.
Oh my gosh.
And she doesn't understand, like she understands his reasons, but she's like, I don't really get like why it's that important.
And it's kind of because she operates outside of that very like heteronormative, very masculine ideal, because obviously like 1, she's a woman, 2, she's a person of color, 3, she's a lesbian. Like all of these things, none of that pertains to her. So she also has to like acknowledge that she exists outside of that, and especially like she's not the demographic that calendar is marketing to either. I mean, so like
I would love a calendar with Hen in it. Please and thank you. Take my money.
Oh, those crop tops.
Her little crop tops.
Let Hen wear the crop top. Just for fun. Sorry.
Anyway.
So while Chimney is kind of like looking for that extra reassurance with Hen, like when he's looking at his pictures and anything, and he's like, even though their friendship is very honest and she gives him her honest opinion, but it's not what he wants to hear, because like, while she has a point in saying, you know, like, you know, the photos are very kind of like, they're handsome and whatever, and they're but it's a little over the top, and she's not into that, anything about it, and it doesn't instill.
He picked the wrong friend for that, the kind of validation he was looking for. He should have gone to Bobby.
Yeah.
Who was he supposed to go to? But then I was like, oh wait, never mind.
Bobby.
Exactly.
Oh. Or even Eddie, who was like the person
which he did kind of
his niece to like take the photos.
Yeah.
His niece that we never see.
But at that point, Eddie hadn't really like he wasn't the core people that Chimney knew he could lean on, which is kind of unfortunate, because you've only got like one out of the three, because Hen it just isn't into
like
that sphere at all.
No.
And Buck is dealing with his own issues, so and lashes out about it as well at Chimney's expense, which we'll talk about later as well. So like, yeah, he only had Bobby, but
he went to his bestie.
Why didn't he ask Bobby?
I don't know.
Probably because I know why. Probably because of the incident with the romancing the uniform profile from last season, where he's like,
yeah, probably
this is lame.
Oh, didn't trust his opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
Because you had Bobby just like taking the mirror selfies in the bathroom of the firehouse, and it's just like, Flan is the bomb. Like,
well, so it's just kind of like when you go to your parent and you're like, which picture's the best? And they're like, you look great in all of these. Yeah. It's like, thank you so much. That was so helpful. So yeah, I get it.
Yeah, he wouldn't have gotten that like honest opinion that he would have from Hen if she had been like a little more.
If Buck wasn't having a mental breakdown, I feel like he could have gone to Buck, but like you said, he's having his own.
So it was kind of like 3 strikes, he's out, and that's
slim pickings.
That's why he got like so down.
So Hen ends up listening to his reasons and figures out like that it is important to him, but goes behind his back and submits pictures, because Chim is like, well, I'm just not going to do it then. But she submits a picture of not him being like shirtless and like oiled up in the correct
very
lighting.
Posed.
Yes.
Posturing.
Yeah, but it takes like an AP press photo.
It's like a candid from
of him saving a kid
when they were actually on the job and actually being the heroes. This is what I thought was so great, because Hen said, you know, like his other pictures, they were very posed. They were trying too hard to be perfect. But the picture that she submits for him is genuine. It's authentic. I think authenticity is like a really big factor in this as well. And it's like not like surface level attractiveness, but like the appeal is him actually like doing something heroic.
Yeah, it's who he really it showcases who he really is, and like him being this I mean, a hero, like saving a kid. It's just who he genuinely is. It's not something that's like so, I guess, posturing like in your face. It's just a genuine person who deserves to be Mr. April.
Exactly. And it's so beautiful then, because that is what he had been kind of striving for all last season. Like at the very beginning, he was like, I never get to be the one to like do the saving, like be the hero. And here you have like actual photographic proof, but the fact that it was selected, so then he gets to be the hero, he gets to be the representation that he wanted, and that's just like such a beautiful culmination. I feel like this is really like,
and all he had to do was be himself.
Exactly. And so I feel like this is really kind of like the culmination of his arc from season 1 like truly like coming to the forefront. Like it's like it really came. Like I know we saw just a little bit of it highlighted in the season finale for season 1, but we didn't get to spend as much time with it, and I think this was the opportunity that he needed to kind of become like fully actualized from that arc.
And I know we're kind of ragging on him for asking Hen, but I mean, who better really? Who's not going to be like, you know, like talk about like the heteronormative, like having this calendar that's like just full of shirtless, very muscular men. Like she probably was the best person to ask because she can see past all of that and say, you know, you who you are as you are is worthy of being on that calendar, and you are a hero regardless.
I think just to wrap it up is that when it's announced, you know, that he won out of the men, everyone is so happy for him and so supportive. Like immediately, like there's no like ragging animosity on him. So everyone acted correctly.
That is the support that he was looking for.
Yes, exactly.
I think that was like the perfect reaction. Like
it's what he deserves.
It is what he deserves. Chimney deserves good things. Bad things need to not happen to him ever. We just need to put him in this little like
leave Chimney alone. Season 8. Alone. Leave Chimney.
We need
alone.
to put him in one of those like, you know, those big like balls that you roll down a hill.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're called, but like we need to put him in one of those,
like the bubble things.
Yeah. Because
just like wrap him in bubble
keep
wrap.
Him
and
secret,
just, like,
keep him safe.
7 seasons and shit still happens to him.
Oh God,
unfortunate shit.
Can't even get married in peace. This man.
No, he's got to go through a little bit of
poor baby.
amnesic episode, just a little bit. Let's just do that. Let's just traumatize him a little bit more.
What's another trauma to add to the pile? But I mean, this is why this is a drama.
This is why this show is what it is.
This is why
it's
you are what you are.
Engaging. It's why it's so addictive. You know, it's the drama that keeps happening. That's why. Because you care about the characters, and then things keep.
Me? Am I the drama?
Yes.
You,
the writers, you are the drama.
Speaking of drama,
we get 2 new characters in this episode. And the first one we're going to talk about is Maddie.
Madeline.
Who is Buck's sister.
Who's not actually named Madeline.
No.
Unfortunate.
I don't think that he ever mentioned that he had a sister.
I don't think he mentioned anything about his family.
No.
Nope.
He doesn't mention
all in season 1.
No.
Nope.
He was like, I'm going to pretend like I'm an open book, but tell you nothing about myself.
Which, again, we did mention in season 1 because it's like he almost did not exist outside of the firehouse until he got together with Abby. And this is kind of going into this as well. So, like, surprise! You have a sister, and she's in your girlfriend, ex-girlfriend's shower of the apartment that you're babysitting for her while she's on her Eat, Pray, Love adventure.
Journey. Oh my God.
And just like one thing that 911 does so well, and we talked about this in the first episode of season 1, is character introductions, because we see Buck coming home to Abby's apartment, and someone's already there, and like clothes are on the bed, and a glass of wine is already running. The shower is running. So what does he think? What we would all think. And it's like, maybe Abby's girlfriend. Back. She's back and we can be together forever.
Because logically, who the fuck else is going to be in this apartment?
It is a fair assumption to make. And that's why it's so funny. They really, wait, for someone who's such a horror nut, is this giving a little bit of Psycho?
A little bit.
Tim Minear.
We know what you are.
We know what you are. You are a horror movie junkie, and we respect it and appreciate it. But little red herring here.
Talking about another kind of trauma, seeing your family member naked as an adult.
But not just that, it was the intent to which...
Yes.
All right.
Talk about shame.
Talk about unfortunate.
For me, it's just the way that they continue. I would have fucking ran out of there. I would not be standing there having the conversation.
I know,
I would have closed the shower curtain. She didn't even close it. She just like kept it open and was like, we're gonna have a conversation. And it's, for me, it's when he goes, well, you did.
It's like, I wanted to see my little brother. Well, you did.
And you can see his face as he's saying it that he's like, I'm not proud of that joke. But it was there.
But it is actually a very funny joke. Like, delivery, A+. Good job.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that kind of like alludes right off the bat, like they are, as much as like he didn't mention anything about Maddie's existence, I think that does kind of allude, and we see that when they're talking after they have both gotten redressed, thankfully, that, you know, they were actually very, very close growing up until about, like a couple years ago, where there was just like zero contact, like Maddie cut off contact.
Yeah.
So like there's this line about, you know, like Maddie used to change his diapers. So you know, it's a lot of exposition, but it's done in a very smart way that gets you to like, okay, this is their relationship. This is how they got to this point as well. So it was like, you know, just a very immediately like falling back into the protective sister role. She was very hands-on in their relationship growing up. There's obviously I know Jennifer Love Hewitt looks forever young, but there's an age gap where she was the one like taking care of him and like changing his diapers. So there's a lot of I think some things that are like implied
information just put there like in conversation, which is nice.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's something that like to zoom in on, like some of the things that she says, like the fact that she's even taking care of him, giving him baths at like 2 years, like while he's 2 years old. I don't remember what the age gap is, but I think that gives you some like
I think it's like 9 years.
9 years.
We learned that later. Something like that, 8 or 9.
Yeah, I feel like that's a little bit of a hint, hint, wink, wink, red flag kind of thing as far as the family dynamics go. There's also some of the things that she reveals as to, like, because we are questioning, like, why she's here, right? So...
Like, why she showed up
out of nowhere, out of the blue. Yeah. And... I mean, and you can tell, like, she's kind of, for lack of a better word, a little shady about, why she's cagey.
Sus.
She's sus. She's real sus. And, like, she doesn't want, like, Buck to tell their parents. But she does reveal that she has left her, did she say
husband.
that? Well, yeah, her husband.
She does say she left him, and he was like, really?
What
like,
so
finally.
long?
Yeah.
Finally.
So, like, this was expected or hoped for.
Yeah. And then, like, Buck is kind of like, well, are you going to stay, see the sights and whatever? And she's like, no, I'm just passing through.
Very non-committal.
Like, okay. I know there's more information here, but you're not going to give it to me because
I'll corner you later.
Yeah.
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 And it seems like kind of right off the bat with her kind of like obfuscation of, you know, like how long she's staying, where she's staying, like why doesn't she want anyone to like know where she is? Like even the fact that she found where Buck was living because she followed the address that she got on the Christmas cards that apparently he was still sending, even though she never responded, which is also just like really, really sweet. And so she went to that original address, which I guess was like the frat house. And they said that he was here, and then just kind of like weaseled her way into the apartment, which is concerning.
Yeah. But when
to
she
say
was
the
like,
least, but
when she was like, having boobs doesn't hurt, I was like, that is
fair point.
unfortunately true.
Fair play.
You can tell that by the way, like Buck already suspects that something is like she's there because of
Something.
Doug, right?
Mhm.
Because his first question is just like, where is Doug? Right?
And she's like, don't know, don't care.
So like he knew that something was like off there. And so he's sniffing around it because you can tell that like if it had nothing to do with him, she would be like, oh, I'm traveling, I'm doing something. But the way that she's like, I'm just passing through and being super shady about it, like you can tell that it's about him, and Buck picks it up.
Yeah, in general, you can tell she's hiding. She doesn't want to be, like, she doesn't want anyone to know where she is. Yeah, anything.
But part of her does want to know, like she wants to be somewhere she feels safe with someone she loves, and that's why she went to Buck. Even though she's like, once they have the conversation, she's like, I'm not putting my brother in danger. But it's like she went there for a reason, because she did want that support and the safety and to talk to someone about it. But it's extraordinarily hard for her to do for a lot of reasons. Not the least of which is that she hasn't talked to him for 3 years, which I'm sure she feels very guilty about. And, you know, just all of the fucking trauma and the fear and the pressure that she feels from fleeing this situation.
It's a lot of those kind of like themes embroiled in her, because this is how she's dealing with that pressure. Is she literally just split, didn't tell anyone where she was going, just showed up, she left. Like, so whereas Athena, as we said, like pushes back, Maddie doesn't, and she just kind of runs, which is kind of
that's a theme.
It's another theme for her character as well.
That's a Maddie classic.
Classic Maddie. Oh, we love her though. But then in that like kind of cowing to that kind of pressure by leaving in such a manner, she feels a lot of shame and guilt. And we'll see for not only leaving her husband, which is a whole complex issue of like shame and insecurity and pressure and everything like that from like the internal and external factors. But she also feels guilt or shame for leaving Buck. When do we know that she left him like longer ago, or just like from cutting off contact? I forget which.
Now we just know that he hasn't heard from her in 3 years.
So basically like the shame of leaving him kind of stranded, and then having to like, you know, realize that he's still her safe space, and the insecurity of, you know, I haven't talked to this person in 3 years, but I'm still going to go to them and hope that they'll like welcome me with open arms.
Well, and she knows her brother, and she knows that
he would. Yeah.
Which is why she went there, because she knew that he would help her. And that he would, you know, make her talk about it. So yeah, we see her like Googling hotels that I can pay for in cash in San Francisco. So she's already planning to leave. Like she's only been there a couple days.
Yeah, like when he comes and comes back home and he sees her bags already packed, and you see like this deflation in his eyes. Like he knows that she's going to run again, which, you know, it's already a pattern. Like in one episode,
she doesn't tell him about the phone call, does she?
No,
I don't think she tells him about the phone call, but she does tell him that
what kind of alluded to
that
what
he
happened.
threatened her, and that she's been abused. But yeah, I don't know. I think it would have been important for her to tell him that he called and he's looking for her.
But I think that's also just like part of the shame of that she's experiencing from one deal, like living through this domestic abuse situation and relationship for so long, as we see like Buck already kind of, he knows that Doug's not a great guy, and he was like, oh, finally you left. So like, but not quite to that. He didn't quite know to that extent. So like Maddie even talks about, you know, when she heard about other people's stories when she was a nurse in the emergency room or something, and she was just like, you know, kind of silently judging, like, why aren't you doing anything about it? But then when she's finding herself in that situation, she understands all of these different kinds of pressures.
Yeah.
That are like weighing on her about, you know, she should leave, but she can't. And the guilt and the shame from both of those aspects.
Well, and just the fear.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It's the fear that keeps you there.
Mm-hmm. It's the fear of being alone and the fear of failure, which we also saw with Athena.
And the fear of what will happen if you leave, but it's something that you can't really understand until you're in that. So, I think the way that they portrayed this, and even though like it doesn't get a lot of screen time, like I think just the way that they portray it in this episode is like really important.
Yeah.
And they continue to do a really good job with it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's treated with a lot of respect.
A lot of mindfulness.
Yeah.
Like intentionality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I did really like when they're having their conversation at the end, and Maddie is sitting on the couch and Buck takes a seat like on, I guess, the coffee table or something, and they're like looking at each other like this.
I loved that framing.
Yes, the framing was excellent because it really showed that the Buckley siblings have each other's backs. It's literally having their six because they're facing each other, but Buck is able to look to like guard what's behind Maddie, and Maddie is able to do the same. So you see, like, even though there is like this rift, this fault line, if you will, in I'm sorry, in their relationship, there's gonna be more next week too. So much earthquake stuff.
You can't. No, that's your last fault line reference for this episode.
I'm gonna make sure I do more next week. Anyways, so even though there is like a rift in their relationship, you can see it kind of like stitching itself back together, or that there was a foundation there in the first place, because they fall back into that so easily, and just like, you know, I've got your back, you've got mine. And that kind of goes into both being a little lonely. And we'll talk about like Buck's loneliness in a minute.
I saw it as a way to look into how well they know each other.
That too.
Because I don't think they like to look directly at people when they're talking about really heavy things, right? So she's like looking off into the distance. Mm-hmm. So instead of sitting directly across from her, or like trying to sit next to her and get her to like turn towards him, he purposefully puts himself in a place where like she can feel supported and protected, but also not have to look at him.
Not crowded.
Yes.
Yeah, it's allowing them each to have their space and exist together without being in the other's space, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Which is kind of, it's individual, it's together, but like, and I guess that kind of works too, because they said like they both have been feeling the loneliness. So it's not, it kind of works on that level too, right? Like they're around each other, but they're not like super in each other's personal bubble sort of thing. So so there's still a little bit of, not disconnect, but a little bit of distance, I guess, because they still have to like work on on building their relationship back up as brother and sister. But yeah, the depth of the framing, like of the blocking, how they were in that scene, just like, I really loved that.
So Buck talks to her and convinces her to stay, and picks out very conveniently a job that is perfectly suited for her. Because she doesn't want to, she's a nurse, but she doesn't want to like
keep looking over her shoulder. Yeah,
because it's, you know, such a public space that anyone can get into, and there's so much open area that she would feel too paranoid to do it. But she wanted to do something where she could help people, just like her brother. And he was like, "Oh my God, I have the perfect job for you."
And look at what place just has an opening.
So yeah, she's our new dispatch operator, and what an upgrade.
Wow.
Oof.
Wow.
I bet you thought the
2.0.
Abby roasting was over.
It's never over.
It's never over.
Oh my god. Imagine if season 1 is just like talking about Eddie who's not there, and then season 2 and 3 is still talking
Please
about
don't do
Abby.
this to me.
It's gonna be
No.
yeah, that's what it's gonna be, because her lack of presence is so felt. So it's like
Yeah.
it's inevitable.
Well, speaking of, shall we talk about Senor Buckley? We are gathered here today, dearly beloved, to talk about the most disaster of all the bisexuals, Evan Buck Buckley.
Bow, 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 bow.
Jesus. I didn't know what his middle name is because it can't be. Like, we're just like Evan Buck Buckley.
Watch him not have a middle name, like, canonically. I wouldn't put it past them.
Probably.
His parents are fucking stupid. I need the middle names and the birthdays of everyone. And if you're not going to give it to me, I'm going to make it up.
Mm-hmm.
ABC.
So we can do an episode where we give people middle names. That's
Can
what
we
can
have
do.
birthday episode,
Yes.
please, in the actual show? Like, can we have someone's birth date
Oh, like a birthday.
acknowledged?
Yeah,
Yes.
that would be great.
Like,
Tim?
give me a month, give me a day.
At Tim Minear.
We can figure out a year. It's fine.
Yeah.
At Tim Minear, can you give us your headcanons, please?
Por favor. Your headcanons. Is it headcanons when you're the showrunner? Isn't that just...
I think it's just canon.
Not just canon?
Listen, until it is textually available, it is headcanon, even for the showrunner. That's
Yes. Because they'll say things like, well, I would like to think that blah, 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 blah. And therefore, it's not in the show. It's not written. It's not canon. It's not said explicitly.
I agree with that to a certain point, because
Ah.
sometimes if they say a thing outside of it and I'm like, I really want this to be canon, I will just accept it.
It's a little pick and choose scenarios, but like, seriously though, if there are official headcanons for birth dates specifically, that would be
Put it
great.
in the show or DM us at Buddy System Pod.
This is mostly at Tim Minear. Can you please email us and tell us what the birth dates are?
Email?
I say email because
Why? Because he's old?
When did this become the Tim Minear roasting hour? Oh my God.
No, we love you. We roast because we care.
Anyway.
yeah. Anyway,
Should we talk about specifically Buck's relationship with Maddie first? I feel like that would be the easiest.
I feel like we touched on it a good bit. It's obvious that like they used to be close and that he feels very a certain way about her being there and that she hasn't contacted him in 3 years. Like, I feel like there's a lot of worrying emotions there with the no contact, but he's also very concerned and worried about what happened with Doug and why she's there and why she is obviously running and not even going to stay there. And he's kind of like, I don't want to say flailing, but he's definitely calculating a bit and trying to figure out how to navigate getting her to talk and how to help her, because that's what he does. But that's especially what he's going to do for his sister, who you can tell like from the get-go that he loves and that they have this really great rapport with each other, even without, you know, it's like having a friend who you haven't talked to in a really long time, and then when you finally like
it's like picking right back up,
call each other or see each other, it's like, yeah, you pick up like no time has gone. So like he's telling her all about his life.
We get an Abby update
and it's not good. And she immediately is just like shooting straight right off the bat.
She's a straight shooter with him.
Yes, yeah. She's like, she's fucking other people. Like,
she's like, no, of course not.
And you can, like, he's laughing, but you can tell he's like, oh, why would you say that to me?
Like, what?
Yeah, the teasing has begun. The Buckley sibling teasing.
It really has.
Like the good-natured sibling, like
The
elbowing
ribbing,
sort of
yeah.
stuff. Yeah, and I think also just like the fact that Buck said that, you know, Abby was on like this eat, pray, love sort of journey, and he doesn't really know what that means, which also just like further underlines the point that like there was no communication there. Like.
Mhm.
Like, he didn't know what that means because she wasn't clear like Athena was in her expectations for herself or for Buck.
Mhm.
And so that kind of leaves Buck just floundering a little bit and stuck in that, like, amber, remember from the last one.
Oh my God.
And it's kind of nice though that like you can obviously see he is experiencing like some loneliness.
Mhm.
So it's really nice then that Maddie, like, it's kind of the perfect timing for her to show up back in his life because they can both
right
kind
when
of
he
commiserate.
has someone who was like the person that he felt the most open and closest with was left him, and he's not really feeling super connected to his coworkers at the moment
because of all of his other insecurities. But
yes,
but it's nice that they're able then to kind of like commiserate in their fear of loneliness together without being fully alone. It's just like alone together.
Yeah.
Even when you're around other people and you still feel kind of like isolated, which Buck definitely feels.
Yeah. But also, you know, around the time when she was like about to get up and leave again, and you know, his face falls, I guess, like when he finds out that she's about to leave. It's like watching another person that he cares about leave him, and he's gonna be alone again.
Yes. It's that 1-2 punch right after Abby has left.
Hey Alexa, play Exile.
Oh.
Damn.
Oh, that hurt.
Wow.
Oof.
Wow, I gotta leave.
Bye. Speaking of, yeah, it's that 1-2 punch of like he's living through being left by Abby essentially, and now like he has someone that he can rely on, someone that he loves and can be very open with, and who understands him, truly sees him probably more than anyone else at this point does. Which
who
is
knows the real him, which is at this point the only person who I think really does.
Yeah, and to be faced with like having her just show up so briefly and then also leaving, just like no wonder that like makes his insecurities even worse at the moment. But it's like no wonder he has such a
all the abandonment issues.
Yeah. And you see from the get, like this is, and especially learning that like he was basically kind of abandoned by Abby for 3 years also. It's a 1-2 punch, but also like an extra like flick to, you know, kick him over.
Yeah.
I don't know wrestling metaphors. A flick.
It's great that he has Maddie there, but yeah, like Rachel said, it was kind of adding to the insecurity is when he like wasn't sure if she was going to stay, and then came home and saw that she was like ready to leave already after a couple days. But he's already in this space because of where we left off at the end of season 1, where I said that he kind of came full circle back to where he was kind of at the beginning of the season. And we see that right away, where he has slid back into this mask of superficiality, of bravado, of this very machismo. Not to say that that isn't part of Buck, but the way that he's doing it is very much his defense mechanism. This is this is how he copes.
Yeah.
He leans on that outward superficiality.
Yes.
Because he knows that he's good looking. So
that's the only thing that he is confident in about himself. Like literally.
Like, well, I couldn't get my girlfriend to stay for like what's inside my heart. So I guess I'm going back to my looks.
But maybe if I work out hard enough and lose enough body fat, if I get shredded enough, she'll come home.
Surely.
But yeah, so he's really fucking insecure because of her leaving, because he has abandonment issues. And he's in this weird limbo place where he, you know, thinks he loves her and doesn't want to move on. So he cannot accept that, like, it's over, even though it's very obviously over. But he's in complete denial because he's like, I cannot, like, he just can't mentally deal with being left because he finally opened himself up to someone and then just got completely trampled over.
I think it's also like this overcompensation about being left is that he kind of wants to prove it to himself and to everyone else a little bit. So there's that like internal and external pressure that like, even though he was left, he's going to stick it out. He's not going to leave. He's not going to be the one to leave. He's the one that gets left.
I think it's also a little bit, I feel like, because of how they treated him with the whole catfishing thing, because of Bobby's advice.
Yeah, he's like, I'm going to stick it out to prove not only to myself, but to everyone else that I'm in this.
Yeah.
Kind of like Bobby is in 100% for the long haul.
And then maybe they'll have faith in me. Because he's like, well, if I can fix this and make this work, and then they'll see that I'm like serious and committed about things. And it's just a lot. It's just a fucking like smorgasbord of a lot of things that are making him feel insecure. The way that he was treated by them at the end of season 1 is definitely playing into that. So all these insecurities that he's always had are like
just at the forefront,
flared up to infinity. So like we see him at those first the calls that were like the first call, right?
Yeah, that like smorgasbord.
He's already feeling inferior because everyone is like dealing with like treating people medically and like things that are like directly treating patients, and he's just kind of like walking around. He's fishing an arm out of a pool.
I didn't think about this.
Yeah, so he's already starting off. And this has probably been happening for the past couple months, like where if it's not like the Daredevil stuff, because he's not a paramedic, like he's not feeling like he is useful, but he's not, because he puts so much of his self-worth, like all of his self-worth into that job.
Yeah.
Right now, you know what I mean? So if he doesn't feel like he is actively, directly saving someone, I don't think he feels confident in what he's doing.
It's kind of like he's only able to do, in his eyes, he's only able to do part of the job. Like he's not able to save like a whole person, but he can save an arm.
Yeah.
Is that grasping at straws? I don't know.
No, it's not.
It's the ways.
Normally when he's doing like weird or gross things where like everyone else, or like maybe Chimney would be, like the episode where there's like the fucking meteor through the person and he's like, hi.
Oh,
he's like, he's dead. Isn't that great?
The tapeworm.
Yeah. And he's just so like, he's our little freak, right? So he's just like silly goofy. So when he's doing these gross things, he's like, he's always making a face, but he's like fishing this fucking arm out of a pool and
doesn't think it's the coolest thing ever.
No,
he's just like, get me ice.
Also, no one's there to watch him.
I know someone.
Well, you do see,
Sorry.
You do see like people's reactions, like when he fishes it out of the pool, and like Hannah's like, "Oh yay!"
But his crew isn't there to watch him, so it's like he's feeling useless. And then they're like, "Well, go fetch the arm, Buck, because we can help these people like medically."
Ooh, that's a good catch.
He's already feeling, a little off kilter in his job, because of the exacerbated fucking insecurities that are flaring up because of Abby and because of how they treated him. And that happens even before Eddie gets there.
So that's going into everything. And then we see all of the stuff about this like competition that he's creating amongst all of them, essentially, with the calendar, which was the as Hen puts it, the idiotic, sexist, reductive calendar that insults the dignity of this organization and furthers the myth that all firefighters are male.
And Buck goes, that's not any less words.
That was so giving. It doesn't rhyme. Like sometimes it's just
Why do they never say wham bam thank you, sir? And he's like
rhyme.
so serious, like,
Yeah.
it doesn't rhyme. Like, what do you mean?
sometimes he just really comes out of left field with taking things very, very
Oh, he is me.
very literally. I love it. But I mean, that is what the calendar is,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And the fact that he introduces it with the full title, which is why Hen says all of that other stuff, is like he's putting so much weight on the idea of getting into this calendar because it's like something that he kind of feels like he's a shoo-in for, and something
Yes.
he can do right, and something that he can be perceived in a light like from other people that he is pleased with.
It's something that's going to give him positive attention, and he needs that so badly right now.
But it reverts back to Buck 1.0.
It does, but listen, I think it's more healthy that he's doing this than going out and sleeping with people, even though he wouldn't because he thinks he's still in a relationship. I think it's still like the healthiest thing he can do at this moment with his wheelhouse.
It's the way that he can fulfill that kind of desire while also staying true to being like, I can stick it out in this relationship, just watch me. But also like, I'm still a hot piece of work of art, you know? Like
Hot piece of work of art.
Hot piece of ass. But yeah.
Arms.
I was trying not to be as reductive, but
The arms.
Arms.
Oh, daddy long legs.
that man is 70% legs.
I was just going to say that because of the mental state that he is in right now, where he's normally pretty good about like dishing it out and taking it with the ribbing, he cannot take it right now. So like he does his thing, and then Chimney says something alluding to him being stupid, and he's like, haha, that's so funny. But then it like quickly digresses worse when like Bobby and Chim are talking about how they're going to like enter, and he's like, I can't really take this ribbing. I'm not in the place for this. And it just continues throughout the episode more and more.
So,
Are we going to talk about the elephant?
elephant?
The Eddie font?
The Eddie
The
font?
elephant?
Oh!
Could we put his face on an elephant?
Oh. Oh, God.
We're going to turn this man into so many
memes.
We've turned him into bready.
Bread.
Now it's going to be an elephant. Oh my God.
Elephant. Sil, go ahead. You're cooking. I see it.
I'm not cooking. I'm just... What a man, right? So...
How long have you been waiting to say that?
Too long. 2 months and a half.
11 episodes.
Oh my God.
What a man.
What
So,
a man.
I mean, after all of that ribbing and just Buck having all of these, like, pretty negative emotions happening to him, like, all of that being, so, like, at the forefront of what he's going through, I guess, you know, the team not being, like, the 118, the team, his friends, his coworkers not being as, like, maybe supportive, like, you know, with him, like,
As
trying to be
sensitive.
or sensitive, especially with what he's going through very well. Like, they know what he's been going through. It's understandable where he directs his feelings and how he directs them. And we have Chimney doing the very infamous introduction of Eddie. Now that's a beautiful man. And then Buck turning around and he's like, what the hell is that?
Yeah, it's like so this scene is so very much from like Buck's point of view, right?
Mhm.
Because, and that's one of the reasons that makes this introduction so interesting. And like specifically from Buck's point of view, because you have everybody else notice. The focus is on Buck turning around
Yeah.
and seeing this like new threat, essentially.
Oh yeah, he automatically says that I don't fucking like him.
It's a threat. I felt threatened.
Yeah. Because it's preceded by, you know, this reputation that comes before Eddie about like all of this competency, all of this experience, and immediately Buck is just like, so what am I here for? Like, we didn't need, like, why did we need another person?
Mm-hmm.
I'm here. This means that you don't believe in my capabilities as a firefighter. And so now you need to get someone else to pick up the slack. Essentially, so it's like, it's right off the bat, just like, threat.
It's like, oh, great.
Like,
It's like, oh, great. I already feel alone. I'm abandoned by my I guess, girlfriend, because he has to watch all of his, like, coworkers now, like, fawn over the new guy, right? That kind of, like, that stings.
The new guy who Bobby is like,
yeah, I fought for him.
I mean, we'll talk about it in Eddie's section.
Yeah.
But, like, Bobby is just like, he's the best. Like, he's just like,
he's got a silver medal.
He's the Crowley gif, well, you know, with the with a fucking contract.
Yeah.
He's like that with like all the reasons why Eddie is amazing, and he is like perfect for the team. And which is, you know, I don't know, this is another strike in the how they don't understand Buck column, which is like very obviously him going, what do we need him for? And then you're like, here's all the reasons why this guy is so good.
He thought his team was complete.
Yeah.
Whereas Bobby could have said something like, well, you need a partner.
Because it ain't going to be me.
Or something alluding to that, right? Because
Yeah.
he does. That's why Bobby brought him on. Like, it's very obvious throughout this episode because he's always in the middle, like some sort of fucking weird dad referee. Like,
Oh my God, we need to talk about that at some point.
watching him like it's a fucking tennis match.
No, that's going on slow burn, I think.
Yeah,
right?
we'll talk about that more during slow burn because, like, that's something. But, like, it's Buck who thought essentially, like, his family was complete, right? And he was, like, as much as he was feeling insecure, he also did feel secure in his position in the 118, and he knew, like, he is still essentially the job, right? Because, like, while he was able to, like, expand himself in this relationship from last season, he's, like, without that, he's like a rubber band snapping back. He's just the job again.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, he doesn't exist without it.
And even though we see him outside of the job, it's still not his space.
Exactly.
It's still not his home.
The only thing that is his outside of his job is the fact that his sister is there.
Yeah.
And that's tenuous at best. So it's like, he really still, that's why he holds on, like, so tightly to the idea of the calendar and to the idea of, like, his position being, like, in jeopardy, because he thinks, like, oh, they're going to look at this new guy. What good am I to have around? And they're going to move on and forget all about me. And I'm going to be kicked to the curb because what do? I get left.
Yeah, you can really see it in the air compressor call, like how he, you know, Bobby tells him that he, you know, to do something basically, and then Eddie, because Eddie's Eddie, I don't know,
Eddie's gonna Eddie.
Eddie's gonna Eddie. I mean,
if Buck's gonna Buck, Eddie's gonna Eddie.
Yeah,
he makes a good point.
He makes a good point. He makes a good suggestion, and you know, Buck has to begrudgingly accept it because, like, a lot of the time, there were a couple times in this episode where he's like, "I got this, and like, no, then a new guy has to come in and like steal, I guess, his thunder, basically, and it's like, okay, so again, what am I? Is what's happening?
Because it's like he was already feeling insecure before Eddie got there, like, feeling like he has to prove his competence and his worth, you know? And now it's tenfold with this guy who showed up, rolled up on his first day, is like just perfect at everything.
Yeah. On top of, so like all of the competency and experience notwithstanding, like that's one thing, right? But like put even on top of that, this new guy in his space is going after everything that Buck is confident in. And like we were just saying, right now where he's kind of like falling back on the confidence that he has in his appearance and his attractiveness. This entire introduction is also talking about how attractive Eddie is as well. So it's just like it tears Buck down to absolutely nothing. Like he's getting
outsmarted, out-competented,
yes,
out-hotted,
outwit, outlast, outplay, but like Firefighter calendar style.
Yeah. So it's basically like he's looking at this guy like with so much jealousy, right? Because that's how he wants to be treated on the job. Like he's an asset and people are really happy to be there and they respect him. Right? And I get that Eddie had a lot more experience coming into it, but like that's his first day on the job. And like
he's still a probie.
Buck is, he is literally just like a fresh ass probie. And Buck is, I'm assuming, graduated to full firefighter.
Yeah.
We never get to see that, do we?
No.
I don't know, actually. Okay, wait, because like it's supposed to be like a full year of training or something. And then when we meet Buck, it says he's been on the job for like 4 months. And then I think season 1 is like takes place of about 3 months. So that's like 7-8 months. I'm not sure he's even a full-fledged
he says not
firefighter.
even 6 months in the second episode.
Oh. Okay, so it's probably
it's like
around a year.
It's around a year.
He's still pretty fresh. Like there's not that much of a difference in hierarchy, but he still feels threatened.
But it's the fact that, you know, and we're going to talk about this in the scene dissection, but it's the fact that not only are the crew treating him like he's just automatically, you know,
part of the team, and they like are looking to him and his knowledge, you know, and deferring to him. It's the confidence that he carries himself with, that he is just comfortable in his skin and that he is, you know what I mean? Like he's not questioning himself. And he is just cool-headed. Like, he's all these things that, like, Buck wants to be. Yeah. But isn't. And it's driving him fucking crazy that it's this guy's first week, you know? Because I think this, like, takes place over a week, like, in general, like, the episodes. That it's his first week, and he's already just like, yeah, I'm here, and I'm doing the job like I've been here for years, and I'm totally comfortable with that, and I'm not nervous, and I'm, you know what I mean? So that just bothers him because Buck has been there over a year and he is still totally not confident. He's still trying to climb his way up. And I think you can also really see this in the scene as they're heading to the mechanic call, where we see them in the engine and he's trying to like come up with a nickname for Eddie. So it's like he can kind of bestow this like gesture of you are now folded into the team sort of thing because I bestowed upon you the nickname so that you fit in. But like, oh my God, but like he's not really getting any leeway in that, and it's so funny. No. And then the team is ribbing on him more. And like, you can tell, I don't understand how they can't read him because he is the most expressive motherfucker. He wears every single emotion he's ever had on his face.
And I guess that's why, because he carries, he wears all his emotions like all over his face. Like they're like, okay, let's see how much we can poke at him. I think that's why.
It's just mean.
Well, that's how. Yeah, I agree with you.
And it's also it is, but also like as you can see, it is harder to gauge when, you know, because like Chimney's kind of dealing with his own insecurities. Everyone is kind of a little more insulated in their own insecurities,
their own stuff. Yeah, I get it.
And that kind of goes again towards like being like a feeling of loneliness and isolation, even when you're surrounded by other people. It's kind of like you're this little island and they're just like a bunch of little islands. Is that an archipelago? Something. I don't know. This was like, sorry, I think I just pulled something like 5th grade geography out of nowhere. What happened? I don't know if that was right, but just like a bunch of little islands. Wow, give me But just like a bunch of little islands where they're like not connecting. They're not connecting because they're so caught up with their own internal pressures and struggles here. I
get it.
To give the benefit of the doubt, but I know what you're saying.
I just don't like when they don't pull their punches with him when you can tell that he's obviously, because like we have this kind of friendship, right, where we can rib each other, but it's like you can also tell without one of us vocalizing if we're not like in a place to receive that kind of joking at that moment. You know what I mean? So I just feel like it's kind of shitty that they don't notice, but it's like Chim alluded to him being stupid earlier, and then they're in the truck and he's like, I just assume that nothing he says is serious. And then everyone is laughing at him and he looks so visibly like upset.
I mean, Chimney should understand this because he covers up his insecurities with humor. Buck does as well, but in the peacocking way.
Yeah.
But I guess it's kind of harder. Again, the only way I can like make it make sense is that everyone is just so concerned with their own inner turmoils that.
But like, what about Hen? Because like basically Hen, what she does, because I don't think she's going through any internal struggles right now.
She's still working it out with Karen, but we don't see it in this episode.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, but like she basically like, she's like, hey, Eddie, so that hot calendar, the hot fireman calendar, it's for charity. Hint, hint, wink, wink. Like she's basically taking one thing away.
That's big siblingism.
And Buck gives her this look and she's like, so yeah, they're just building more and more on top of his insecurities and his like lack of self-confidence,
like knocking down every single thing
at this point in time. So it's just the pressure of his internalized shame and insecurities and fears.
And that pressure gotta lead to somewhere.
Yes.
And it's interesting because like the person who's not really like, well, he doesn't know him, first of all. And Eddie, again, is Eddie. He's not really ribbing on him either. I mean, the only comment that I can think of is, like, he's just like, I can't tell if he's being serious or not. But, like, I think that's very genuine when he's saying that. Like, we clearly don't know too much about him. I mean, we just see him, like, his introduction, obviously. What a man again. And, like, just everyone just, like, liking him and like he's just smiling. He's just like I think he's just happy to be there.
He is so cute.
You do have like that one moment where it does pan to him just smiling as he's being introduced to like the 118, and then we get a little bit of backstory of like how he joins the 118 from Bobby, who's like I basically everyone wanted him because he's got the silver star, and however like many firehouses wanted him because he graduated top of his class and yada yada yada. Basically competent. And I guess like Bobby was able to convince him to join the 118.
I want to know what he said.
I think we all do as a fandom collectively want to know what he said.
I think it's contextual clues, kind of obvious. It's obviously not the only thing that he waved in front of him, right? But I'm sure he waved the like dynamics of how they operate as a group.
Yeah.
And how he probably was like, I have a crew member who I think that you would partner really well with. And probably told him a little bit about him. And Eddie was very much like, yeah, that's like the yin to my yang in a workplace where it's like
someone to have his back.
Yeah. And I think as we learn more about Eddie's character, it's probably what was the most attractive to him was that aspect of being on a team and that kind of camaraderie that he would have been used to in the army as well. And I mean, as far as we know, like, they said he did like 2 tours, I think.
In Afghanistan, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like he obviously kept going back to something where he had this like knit group, like tightly knit core group of people that he would surround himself with. So I guess it's like a pretty fair like 1-to-1
But I guess
ratio sort of thing.
I guess the question is, like, well, what makes this team different as opposed to other firehouses? You know? I mean, aside from the fact that, yeah, we do have the one you will be partnered with, one who has no partner, I guess.
I think Bobby talks really nicely, and he can give a good speech and sell
It's Bobby.
Yeah.
that, like, that family dynamic.
Yeah.
And probably was like, you know, well, we don't learn about Christopher in this episode, but probably was like, you know, I know you have a kid and like we can be flexible, you know, as much as I can be with that. Whereas like another station would be like, you fucking figure it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would imagine he would have to be like fairly upfront about that as well, which is also then, you know, when you're interviewing for jobs, you would have to say like, you know, all of that stuff because his family would be the most important and so much is contingent on him being able to at that point be with him. So it's interesting then that like in that introduction, it's not mentioned, obviously because it's not anyone else's place to be mentioned, but that like, so it doesn't even literally come into the picture until probably the next episode.
I will say that I know we have all the context clues and we can pull from headcanons and things like that, but I'm going to say it again. I want I need an Eddie Begins again episode, especially if we're, you know, if we're getting the thing that we want the most out of Eddie.
Dear Tim Minear.
At Tim Minear. Again, how many mentions is that? We need to put like a number. We need to put it like a little
hey best friend.
At our Lord and Savior. Tim Minear. Yeah, no, we need that. We need that really badly.
And I just want to say just really quickly about, you know, Bobby convincing Eddie to join. I wonder if there's also something there about like Bobby himself as, you know, presenting himself as the captain and the authority figure that really appealed to Eddie, because I don't want to get too spoilery, but like with his whole situation with his parents and the kind of father that Eddie is trying to be, I'm wondering if he sees a little bit of like a role model in Bobby, similarly to how Buck sees in Bobby as well. So it's like an easy person to follow into fire battle.
Yeah, I'm sure that Bobby as a captain was definitely part of the selling point because I feel like he has a very unique touch.
Yeah.
So like coming from the military, that'd be a huge change with how Bobby operates because he treats them like a family. Like he is very good at, you know, captaining, but, you know, he still is going to like drop protocols and do what he needs to do to save them and protect them.
Do what Bobby does.
Yes, Bobby's gonna Bobby.
Buck is gonna
but
Buck,
yeah,
Eddie's
and
gonna
obviously,
Bobby's
you
gonna
know, more spoilery things, but obviously he's got way different vibes than his parents. So he's like, this is an authority figure who like I actually could feel safe,
trustworthy,
and feel like I could learn from them in a good way.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely a selling point. The only other thing I really had to say about Eddie by himself is what we see him presenting, which is that he is approachable because everyone goes up to him and he is very like he
affable.
Yeah, he gives this very like soft, like open look, you know. So he looks very approachable. He holds himself very self-assured. He's very confident. Right?
Syl's just sitting here going like,
he's very skilled and he is super articulate, which is one of my favorite things about him.
Yes.
And you just get that right off the bat that like he is not afraid to like say what he thinks is right.
Yeah.
Because he's, again, self-assured and confident in his job. Like he knows what the fuck he's doing and what he's talking about. And if he knows what he's talking about, he's going to say it.
And he's very deliberate in what he says, when he says it, how he says everything as well. So it just, yes, it exudes this self-assuredness Buck is so desperately trying to cling to in himself.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, it just makes Eddie just look so chill. Like, what a good guy.
Yeah. At every call, he's just like, I know exactly what to do because I either did something exactly like this or like I know about this. The way that he is like about how the fucking grenade works.
Yeah.
And then at the very end, like it's all very technical. Like it makes it go boom.
Wow.
That's so funny.
That was the only time that I was like, that was slightly condescending. Because he's like looking at Buck while he says it.
Not just that, though. Like, this is, I think, the moment that we really see the most, like, besides, like, this is just a really good, competent, nice guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But, like,
You got a little character in there.
Mm-hmm. His little spiciness.
this is where we see Spicy Eddie,
Edmundo Noches.
little Sassmaster 3000, because he's like, thing go boom, which is, yes, a little condescending to Buck, but then we also see him like go back and address the guy at the bomb squad. He's like, yeah, I haven't actually done this before because nobody I know is stupid enough to do that, but also I'm familiar with the ordinance. That is like borderline subordination.
And the fact that he said it like fucking 10 feet away from this guy who is bleeding out. And he's like, oh man, the guy called me stupid. Yeah.
He said this to the bomb. I'm familiar with the ordinance. Like, this is when he's
competency kink activated.
But it's also just like, it's so sassy. And to say that to like a person of authority, it's like, oh, maybe there's a little more to this super nice, okay, all around good
like,
guy. Like,
yes, man, soldier. Like, no.
Yeah, there's more under the surface that we haven't gotten to yet, because most of this, I think most of this episode, like, their interactions are so rooted in Buck's point of view. A lot of the, which
anytime Buck is there,
so
it's very much his point of view in this episode. Which I love when they do that.
So interesting to parallel to,
oh my god,
some other things that are
no limits. There are limits. Because we can go all day to do that comparison.
Hey! Where's the fire?
Let's talk about this fucking down bad crying at the gym.
Part 1.
The origin story.
This is when we really see all of the pressures of Buck, kind of like, you know, the pressure's got to go somewhere. This is where we see him truly crack a little bit. Sorry, more Fisher jokes.
No, I'm sorry. I'm just...
You get what you get.
I get so embarrassed in this scene as someone who identifies
secondhand
with
embarrassment
Buck.
is so bad.
It's not secondhand embarrassment. It's like, why are you showing my ass like this? Could you please? Could you please not?
You see just like the tension up to this point, mostly from Buck's side, is just like building and building and building, and he just reaches a breaking point. With like his posturing, his cockiness comes out, and he's just like, it's just this ridiculous one-sided animosity.
Beef.
Yeah.
Yes. One-sided beef that, you know, Eddie absolutely recognizes and doesn't add fuel to the fire until Buck really truly cracks and takes it out on Chimney with like such acrid, like it was an acrid remark. I don't know if acridity is an actual word, but just like, you know, all of this stuff is playing on Buck's insecurities. So then what does he do? He lashes out exactly onto Chimney's insecurities as well. And like, it just like, it tears Chimney down so quickly and so completely.
He calls him Evan, and you can see immediately that Buck knows he
messed up.
Done fucked up.
Yeah.
Because Chimney never does that. As someone who lives by his own nickname, like when they pull out the Evan, it's bad.
He's in trouble.
So it's only at that point that Eddie decides to even confront Buck about this outright, and it's kind of like him white knighting a little bit, because he also knows that so much of the reason that Buck lashed out was because Buck was feeling insecurity like about Eddie.
Yeah.
I mean, Eddie clocks, like, he knows that Buck has some kind of issue that's going on, or an issue with him, and like he eventually does ask around. He asks Chimney. He asks Chimney, and like, Chimney, I guess, just spills the beans about Abby, and then
that man cannot keep a secret.
Like, it's this guy's first day. I don't think Buck. First of all, Buck is in denial, so you shouldn't be telling fucking strangers that he's broken up when he's still saying that they're not. And then second of all, why are you fucking over here gossip girling with the brand new employee?
No, wait. That's kind of the thing though, because we see throughout the episode, like, this interaction, these little interactions that Chimney has with Eddie. Like, Chimney is like very kind of enthralled with Eddie, and he's kind of like, oh boy, new friend, new person to play with immediately, because Chimney is the first person to kind of notice Eddie in the locker room. You can see it, like, he's the first one to kind of like turn around, even though it's like a back shot. So you see him kind of like turn his head to acknowledge him first. And then when they're in the engine on the way to the mechanic, and Chimney's asking him these questions and trying to get to know, it's very much kind of like I want to get to know you, like a little, I know we say like Buck is very much puppy, but Chimney was giving like
very puppy.
Chimney can also be puppy.
Yes. And just kind of this like immediate interest, adoration, respect that we continue to see Chimney interact with Eddie, especially when at the gym scene and Chimney's asking Eddie about like, can your niece take pictures for me, and trying to be like that, and Eddie is just like very affable, and he's just like, yeah, of course, like it's an easy and quick camaraderie that we see, which is in such sharp contrast to Buck's side of it, and it's really shown that, Chimney was kind of trying to impress or like loop Eddie in to everything, which is why he was gossip girling with Eddie in the first place, like probably just getting him up to speed. Like, this is how we do things around here. Let me show you the ropes. Like, let me take you under my wing, sort of thing, and have it be and it's reciprocated in kind.
In my head, Eddie was like, why does Buck look like he wants to punch me in the face? And Chim was like, oh, don't worry about him. He's going through a really bad breakup.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's 100% what happened.
Yeah, so it comes to a head because as soon as Buck lashes out at not Eddie, because Eddie was very much just like taking the like slight passive aggressive shit in stride. He was just like, he'll get over it or he won't, whatever. Like, it's not really my problem.
Yeah, like he was not engaging.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but the moment he like lashes out at Chim, which was a very uncalled for thing, like I understand why he did it, because he is, a hurt animal trying to protect himself. But yeah,
but it's
still
not the way
good.
you treat your friends.
No, it is not. But like, no one is treating their friends correctly.
Yeah.
Really, in this
Two
episode.
Wrongs do not make a right, but Buck's wrong is so much more egregious.
And this whole interaction, Eddie is so chill, and I just know that that's driving Buck even more fucking insane.
And I think he knows it too.
Yeah, and of course Eddie knows it.
Because he knows it's literally him diffusing the Buck bomb.
Yes, the Buck bomb. We gotta turn him into a bomb. We gotta put his face on a bomb.
No. I'm gonna explode.
But yeah, so Buck's like, you, which is, not true, but he's like, you're my problem. And how comfortable you are, you shouldn't. And it comes back to what I said earlier, is just that like, he's like this guy's first week. He should not be this comfortable. He should not be getting to like work like he's been here. That's what the elder comment is, right? It's not like respect your elders. It's you shouldn't be acting like you've been here for years, and people shouldn't be looking to you for direction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And taking your suggestions. It's your first week. Like, that's...
You have to earn the respect and earn your place, which is what Buck had to do.
Yes. Because Buck still feels like he's earning it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Especially when you consider, like, even as far as he's come, like, the first episode, he got himself fired and then rehired. So he really had to metaphorically, like, climb this ladder to be taken seriously.
And he's still not.
And he's still not. And this guy comes in and is immediately afforded all of the respect and deference that, like, Buck was not immediately. Exactly. But this is all coming from inside him.
Yes. It really has nothing to do with Eddie specifically. It's all about how Buck was already feeling, but everything about Eddie and how everyone is treating Eddie versus it in, you know, sharp contrast to how they have treated him from, like, how they treated him at the beginning and how they're treating him now, even, like, now that, like, they're supposed to be close and he has a lot of experience.
Well,
and
even just, like, how seriously everyone takes Eddie because it's like, oh, he's a veteran. He was in the army. He did tours overseas. He got a medal for it.
Yep.
He graduated the top of his class in Firefighter Academy
last week.
Yeah, like, literally fresh out of the academy. And Buck's a joke.
And Buck's a joke, but that's how he feels.
That's how he feels. That's not how they mean it. It's meant to be.
But it's how he feels, and they're exacerbating that by how they're treating him and how they're treating Eddie.
Yeah. It's like Buck is so weighed down by his own insecurities that, like, he doesn't see that it's meant in a more familial sort of, like, sibling-y, ribbing each other sort of, I make fun of you because I love you way. Which is what
which he normally can see, but he can't right now because of where he is mentally.
Exactly.
So instead of those things being like, oh, this is them showing that they love me and I'm part of their family, right? Now it's just confirmation of all of the horrible things that are swirling around his head. That's what's going on.
Which is why he tries so hard to, like, do the posturing, the peacocking thing with, like, this stupid little selfie stick and, like, putting more weights on the barbell sort of thing. And
I thought that was because Eddie just showed up and he's like, oh, you're going to do the punching back thing. And
that's exactly what it was.
It
was the posturing. It was like, oh, you're going to do this weird ass fucking acrobatic kick. Well, I'm going to put on more weight on my thing and then take these selfies of me looking sweaty and jacked. Like
in terrible lighting too, which is like
terrible lighting.
Like, as much as Eddie is, like, not necessarily trying to befriend him because he knows, like, he's not going to get far, but he's still trying to be, like,
I was going to say, I think he was trying to be helpful and it still just rubs it. No, okay.
But also in a little bit of a sassy way.
He was trying to be helpful with the lighting thing because he was like, look,
I think he was
not.
I think he was definitely trying to be sassy. I think he was trying to poke him a little bit.
I think it works both ways, though, because it's extending that olive branch to which makes him look like a really good guy.
Yes,
but I think he also realizes that by extending this olive branch, which is a nice gesture, it's also going to rub him the wrong way. So I think it's, like, in a way, not to say that it's, like, super conniving or manipulative of Eddie. Maybe it is a little bit. But it works because it makes him look good.
Yes.
While also being like, let's see what happens if I do this.
Listen, like, I think that Eddie clocked him. He has his number. And he is finessing this situation. Right? Like, he doesn't know Buck yet, so he doesn't know how to, like, you know, defuse the bomb. But he is playing around with, you know, the parameters that he has the knowledge of and trying to, like, he's trying to befriend him or, you know,
make him go boom, one or the other.
Well, I was trying to think of how to say, like, befriend him, but, like, as a coworker. Because, like, he wants to get along with him.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm sure he's heard from everyone, like, how great Buck is. And I'm sure, again, like we said, Bobby probably mentioned, like, there's this person that I'm going to partner you up with. And then he's like, well, I got to get this person to not fucking hate my guts because this is going to be
so
miserable.
We can work together.
So we can work
like,
together.
Like
So
it's less of a befriending and more of just kind of like, let's just get to a place where there's like
Amicable?
yeah, amicable enough that they can work in tandem, and it's not like conflicting. Like, no, it's like one of them, Buck isn't vying for like at the mechanic thing when Buck was very much vying for the dominance of the competence.
second intercostal space.
And it's interesting too with that because like Buck's is very like by the book sort of thing, but Eddie's is more experiential. So it's interesting to see like how those two kind of war against each other in that way, because Buck doesn't necessarily have the experience, and this is the crux of the issue.
That's
of
the whole
competence.
conversation that Eddie kind of has with him too, where he's like, I'm sorry that you feel threatened by me. You shouldn't, because we do the same thing. Like, we're on the same team. And he's being serious, but he's also being sassy at the same time.
Yes. But people are shooting at me, though.
He's like, we do the same thing, except I do it in heels, basically.
Yeah. Miscongeniality.
Do it in heels backwards.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I guess even before the grenade thing, that is where we see like some of that real like personality underneath the, well, this is a swell guy, really come out, and it's because he knows now what buttons to push.
He's still experimenting with it, right? So like he presses that button to see, okay, we're gonna see if this humbles him or if he comes back at me, and then he comes back at him again later, and then he's like, all right, now I got it. I have the complete picture.
And it's that how people deal with pressure sort of thing. It's that Buck is pushing. Eddie doesn't push back until a certain point, and then at that point, and then when he does, it's almost like a dance, right?
Yep. He pokes it and then backs away.
So then Buck follows, and then it's that dance of pressure point poking.
So this is the grenade.
This just sounds like a euphemism.
What is happening?
Interpretation.
Oh my god.
Do with that what you will.
I think that Eddie clocks it in the ambulance that his big problem is that he feels insecure, and it's not about Eddie. It's about needing validation. So then he gives him that, and then immediately results.
It's like the sun is shining, the clouds have parted.
Yeah,
it's all good. Who, me? Me? We'll save that for the rest of that.
Well, I think it's time.
A good part to go into slow burn, and this way we can also talk about the grenade call and the ambulance.
How everything is so gay. Where do we even start? Okay, welcome to our first meaty slow burn.
We've made it, guys!
I don't know where to fucking start with these tragic queer men.
Let's start where it all begins. I mean, I know I've already said what a man.
Yes.
The fourth, fifth, sixth time. I'm pretty sure that's a bingo or take a shot every single time I say what a man.
Yes,
this included.
I would like to read you some prose by Salt-N-Pepa.
Oh, I thought you were going to say some prose from Oliver Stark.
No, but I would love to.
We should have gotten something from him.
Here are some lyrics that I think say a lot about them just from the get-go.
Oh, here we go.
I want to take a minute or two and give much respect due to the man that's made a difference in my world. I know that ain't nobody perfect. I give props to those who deserve it, and believe me, y'all, he's worth it. So here's to the future, because we got through the past. I finally found somebody that can make me laugh.
Come on.
You so crazy, I think I want to have your baby.
Like I knew the lyrics, but I never really
I just know the what a man
paid
part.
attention to the lyrics.
I actually know most of these lyrics, but I never like actually thought about the rest of the lyrics in relation to this scene. So I was like reading.
Not the baby.
I encourage yeah. I encourage all of you to like listen to the whole song like with the lyrics up, because like I just picked the best parts, I thought. But like all of it is very much like there was an agenda here. Like from the beginning.
Especially when you take into consideration like that scene is filmed from Buck's POV.
Yes.
Purposefully.
And the fact that most of those things that I just read, except for the baby part. Well, I don't know. Maybe he does already want to have his baby, even though he doesn't know there's a child. But most of those lyrics are already true, right? Because they go from this fucking animosity to being just like they can't stop touching each other and looking at each other. It's been 5 minutes.
It's been 5 minutes here, and I'm like, oh, okay. What a man. Take a shot. But, like, I don't really know how to start this. Only just that Eddie just makes Buck look stupid enough to want to kiss him. I don't know. I think I just said that's so wrong. And, like, I just, like, flip-flopped everything. But he just made him look dumb because he wants to kiss him.
From the very first second, but especially in that gym scene, it's like, when he says we do the same thing, I just do it while getting shot at. Was basically him saying, you want to kiss me so bad it makes you look stupid. Like, that's basically what the is. But because he's like, Eddie is standing there looking at him in that gym scene, like biting his lip.
That was so uncalled for, and
literally why?
Appreciate it so much.
No, but there's also the whole like, okay, so it's he looks at me and you look. I don't really know like the lyrics, but like that's what
look at him.
Look at him.
Yeah, it's this
me.
It's this stare down,
but before the stare down, they're just like looking at each other separately, but with like you know what I mean. Like one looks away, the other one's looking at it.
Yes,
they're doing the thing.
And it's part of that.
Chim is watching them.
Chimney is watching them
doing his dips.
As he's, oh my god, no! I guess I don't know who. I don't know whose Jim Beard he is. Is he Eddie's?
He's both.
Is he both?
He hasn't. Well, I think he's Eddie's in that
probably
scene because he basically dead named.
Why is
Buck.
Chimney at the scene of the crime?
Because Chimney
can't keep his mouth shut.
But Chimney and Hen are there for the tea.
Always.
First and foremost,
yeah.
They are Gossip Girl.
Yes, they are. They are.
XOXO.
But Chimney is like, okay, this is after he has been insulted, right? Where he was like, okay, Evan. And you would think that like after that he would like storm away, but he just like went to like exercise because he's like, well, I'm not leaving because I'm going to see.
I'm going to keep listening to see what happens here.
And they keep, every time they pan to him, he's shaking his head and smiling and laughing because he's like, these two are really fucking stupid. Like, this is, what in the homoeroticism is happening here?
I mean, also, he's not the only observer. Third party observer.
Oh.
I was just about to say that in all of their scenes, you know, when they're kind of like looking at each other and then looking away and that tension is being ramped up in every moment that they have with each other, they are also being very closely assessed, monitored, watched between Chimney, between Hen, but specifically with Bobby. It's so interesting watch the episode, but pay
attention to Bobby.
Specific attention to Bobby and his eye line, who he's looking at, when he looks from one to the other, between all of their scenes.
Oh yeah, from the beginning.
Yeah,
because he's like, I got you this.
How do you like him?
Yeah, I think that really does lend like just the very the very subtle eye work that Peter Krause is doing in this episode really helps lend credence to that subtext that indicates that Bobby brought Eddie on to be partners with Buck, and the way he keeps watching them specifically in all of their interactions so closely is very interesting to that point, because like you see him look at Buck during that introduction, the What a Man scene. You see him look at, well, he looks at Chimney, he looks at Hen, but then he looks at Buck when he's talking about who Eddie is, like all of that stuff. And then Buck turns around. You see Bobby look from one to the other when they're doing their little like alpha off at the...
We forgot to mention the very important fact that Bobby says he likes to be called 8-pack.
Oh, yeah. 8-pack.
And that's the last thing he says to Buck before he walks away to go introduce everyone to Eddie.
Which I think also like starts the I gotta get him a better nickname so I don't feel inferior sort of thing.
Yeah. It's like I cannot call this man 8-pack.
Like, no. It's a weird thing.
That was absolutely a joke too. There's no way.
No. Eddie would
anyone
not,
has ever called him
Eddie would
8-pack
not deal with that
and gotten away with it. No.
It was another ribbing at Buck, just like Hen and Chimney were doing. But at the, like, going back, at the mechanic scene, when you get this iconic shot of, like, Buck and Eddie, like, staring each other down. And then you get this, like, triangular formation. And Bobby is just in between them, like hands on his knees, like watching intently.
His eye work should really be like billed as cast, like a cast member.
The eyes were a paid actor in and of themselves. Get them an agent.
SAG-AFTRA member.
Peter Krause's eyeballs. And then like even when the shot changes. And, you know, they're talking about that like intercostal, whatever, medical jargon.
Yeah.
And, or afterwards too, when Buck relents after Bobby says like, let Eddie do it. Bobby looks at Buck to see how he takes that direction.
How he reacts it.
And then looks at Eddie and then looks back at Buck. And sorry, I'm going on about this, but like I could not stop paying attention to it. And so like he shows up at the very end of the gym scene, just kind of like further away.
Out of nowhere too. It just pops up.
He's just lurking.
It just apparates.
He's doing the like sim emoji like, you know what I mean? Like he's just like.
But it's interesting too, because like in the other scenes where he's so much more close, he really takes a step back and is from like the other side. Like he's not even technically in the gym, but he's seeing this like this tension like being start to really, really boil. And I think he recognizes that like, okay, he's kind of like, not that he's manipulated the situation, but he's kind of like he's kind of playing chess, like 3D chess a little bit here.
He's playing matchmaker.
He's setting things up and now he's kind of like looking to see how they take it from there. And which is why at the grenade scene, he puts them together because he really wants to see like the culmination, the pressure like go boom.
What he basically
one
did,
way or another
was he like put them in a room together, you know, and locked
essentially
unlock the door.
The door, yeah.
But like I want to go back to this chess analogy, but you're gonna have to help me because I don't play chess, so I don't know if this is gonna be accurate. But basically,
knight to e4.
That's the only.
But basically, in that analogy, it's like Buck is a pawn. Right. And then Eddie is like a knight or a king or like what, you know what I mean? Like one of the trump pieces on the chessboard. And so he's kind of moving Eddie because he brought Eddie on because he was like, Buck will eventually respond well to him, work well with him, learn from him, be tempered by him. And I know that this person will be able to handle him and how he
because
operates.
He's good under
don't say it
pressure.
Yes.
Sorry.
He's good under pressure and he's very good at
diffusing,
reading people and navigating that like it is a bomb. You know what I mean?
Which is it's really setting things into motion, but then also kind of like at some point letting them move themselves. Like he's set up the play and one of them has to like checkmate essentially.
I love how none of us know how to play chess. Hopefully this makes sense. Finish your thought, Rachel.
I mean, I thought this was all still kind of like the gay shit. Like Bobby is keeping such a close eye on them and
it's a little.
Yeah. I mean, we didn't really talk about the grenade call for either of their perspectives just in general, but I did find it interesting that like at the point when Buck volunteered himself because Eddie was going to do it?
I think that's when he had big regrettos.
Yes, that's when I think Bobby realized, like, oh wait, I set things up a little too much, and I want to take a step back, because then he goes to Buck. He doesn't go to Eddie, he goes to Buck because that is his pseudo son.
Yeah.
And he's like, you don't have to do this.
You don't have to go to the place with the bomb. You don't have to do that. It's fine.
Yeah, everything else in the episode has been telling Buck that he has to do this, including like his internal struggles. He's like, he has to prove himself. And he's so far gone in that he doesn't realize that Bobby is giving him his own form of an olive branch, being like, you don't have to do this. You don't have to prove your competency, your position, or anything like that, because I want to protect you. But Buck's already like made his decision, because that tension. Okay, this is why I was considering it, some of the gay stuff, because that tension that had been ramping up, especially through like Bobby's watching of them, has been building and building and building. So it really takes physical form in this like diffusing of the grenade. Do also want to say really quickly, and then we can like actually get into it. It is so interesting too that like we have all of these characters paired up. So we have Bobby and Athena paired up. We have Hen and Chim paired up. We have Buck and Eddie paired up. That really just, it underlines the idea that like Eddie was brought in to be Buck's partner, but that is also like his equal. And they just have to get to that point. They have to like get over the hurdle to get to that point where they're able to see each other as such, instead of Buck seeing them as rival.
So,
take it away, Hen.
Buck says, you wanted us to get along. We might end up being real close. Which I think is a joke about how they could explode, but...
I did also, with that line, I'm sorry if you hate me for this, there is a line in Black Sails that is very similar to that, and it's kind of used in a very similar way, where one of the characters who is kind of has something that the other main character really wants, and so it's John Silver has something that Captain Flint really wants, and Captain Flint is like this, oh my God, I can't believe I have to deal with you sort of thing. And John Silver kind of like lords it over him and uses it to his advantage in kind of a manipulative way. And he's like, well, who knows? We might be friends by then. And then both characters proceed to have like some of the most complex and close relationship in the entire series, not even to say like some of all of media. So I just thought that was interesting connection there. Like, we might be real close. Oh, really?
I just think it's funny because, like, I don't know if it was completely intentional, but it definitely feels like a steaming bowl of foreshadowing.
Yeah, it is.
I think it's intentional.
I mean, literally right after the fact.
I just need to talk about what may be the gayest thing in this episode to me.
Please.
There's like two things for me.
So it's how when Eddie is getting the grenade out of this man's leg, how Buck is like, the way that he's watching Eddie, I'm like, bro, you guys are trying to...
Well, it's also not the first time, because like, when he was doing the thing at the mechanic, because he's like watching.
He was doing the same thing, but he was like basically panting open mouth. And when he was taking the grenade out, right?
Oh, the competency kink.
The competency kink. And then when he finally gets the grenade out and he puts it in the box, which Buck is holding, Buck,
the face,
is like...
just stares
at Eddie. Yeah. The box is not closed. He's still holding it. And the bomb squad people were very clear about, like, you put it in here, you get away.
Yeah.
And he was like, I just need to take a moment to gaze into my coworker's eyes because I am so turned on right now.
Like, we could have died. But you did it. You saved the day. Oh my God. Twirling my hair.
Should we have, oh my God, we're alive sex?
Stop. It's really funny because, sidebar, it's really funny because I remember last night I said this is not the same as the superhero film that we just watched maybe 2 weeks ago. I mean, there was a comparison made recently, I think, but there are threads to that, the Honda Odyssey. Oh man, the Honda Odyssey. Honda's getting like free PR right now.
Oh, I'm sure they paid for it.
Oh my god.
But from everywhere.
It's that very fine line between like hate and love a little bit, or like hate and respect. And
there was never any hate there. It was jealousy.
Yeah.
It was jealousy and also fucking closeted bisexual gay panic.
Yeah.
When you see someone that you immediately, even though you have not admitted to yourself that you like the opposite gender, and you see someone that you're like, oh my god, like I want to rip their clothes off immediately. Because that's what Buck looks like. Like, he's just going through it. Like, he's going through all these insecurities, and he's also having this internal gay panic.
Yeah, he's kind of having like this weird fight or freeze reaction, which we see him have again, specifically in season 7, and it's like the fight aspect is rather misplaced. But in this instance, he'd rather fight. He really just wants to fight himself, but he can't do that. And it's just like, this is essentially a form of trauma bonding, right? But it's not exactly trauma bonding. It's the high adrenaline.
It was his fucking praise kink. I'm sorry. That's exactly what it was. It was him getting complimented, validated, all the things that he's been
searching
feeling insecure about, right? And the guy who was making him feel worse about all those things is the person who he just watched pull a live grenade out of someone's leg, you know, who he like has seen now in practice be so fucking smart and good at everything that he complimented him. Yes, that he complimented him on his job performance and said, you did your job so well that I would love to have you have my back anytime. Literally, he was just like, wow, all of the pleasure centers in my brain are going off right now. And you could see his face change.
Yeah.
It's like the first real smile you get from him the entire fucking episode.
By the way, Bobby is also present.
Of course he is.
Also in the building.
He's probably thinking to himself, like, yeah, I did it.
Just
it was a little hairy there for a while
in this episode.
He was like,
wild.
I knew it would work out. Like little good job. Good job, Bobby. Like, it's just so interesting, the progression of their interactions throughout this entire episode, because of that tension being increased and like the stakes getting higher every single time that they interact. And it all culminates in this ambulance. And it's really when, you know, like Buck says that he wants to go toe to toe, like he wants to keep up, which again is like him acting from his insecurities. But that does I feel like that does earn a little bit of respect from Eddie as well, because like how many people would really like dive headfirst into like, oh, potentially being blown up. It's great. So that earns a little bit more of respect for Eddie beyond like, you know, just knowing that this guy is good at his job, and the high adrenaline, high stakes bonding that they had in the ambulance really solidified that. And that was like the peak of like the whole episode is about like building tension, but it's also like in this instance, there is the tension of their chemistry as well, because they have been like so on the outs, but when they get together and when they work together,
it's because they've been eye fucking the entire episode, and now finally,
like the
there's
grenade
something to verbally like, make that chemistry like expand in a positive way.
Exactly. The grenade doesn't go boom, but their chemistry when they're on the same page and their ability to like work as a unit, like basically as one like entity, like one, like two puzzle. And I'm sure I'm going to use this like so much as we go forward, but they really are like two puzzle pieces that complement each other and fit together so well. That is the chemistry like exploding. And then you come out the other side better off for it. And it's just like, like literally.
It's a little bit of matching each other's freak.
Yeah.
It absolutely is. And that's what makes it work so well. Once that tension culminates and their chemistry goes boom, as we keep saying, I mean, it is what it is, which, you know, you can always use that as a euphemism too if you want. That's fine. It's just like, once they get over that juncture and they're able to like bond, and all it takes is Eddie saying, yeah, you were pretty good. You were pretty fearless and brave, and you did really well. And it just makes Buck preen.
All of his calculating and poking from earlier paid off so well.
He knew exactly what to say.
But he looks so, because like Eddie, in the face of Buck's fucking sunshine, direct sunlight smile, is like, he looks like a besotted fucking schoolgirl. And like, I don't know what to do with them. Like,
it's just the beginning.
It's just the beginning, but it's the fact that like he was like, "Oh my god, I figured it out," and but then oh my god, like look at he is sunshine.
They're both giving heart eyes towards each
They
other.
are.
Yeah, it's like for as much as like Bobby was playing chess and Eddie was kind of like strategically
Trying to figure them out.
Yeah, it's like he neglected to consider the fact that like once he got Buck over to his side, essentially, he neglected himself a little bit to be like, oh, maybe I like this guy also, actually. And, you know, so it's kind of like he almost blindsided himself with that, with being so like concerned with getting Buck over to like past this animosity that obviously wasn't about Eddie, but it's like in that Eddie also realized like, oh, wait, this might actually work for me too. And because of that, they are on literally like the same plane. They're on the same page. It's completely
and then they're
mutual
in sync from that moment on.
Exactly.
And like this only took a couple days. It
Yeah.
only took a couple shifts together. And then it's like they've known each other for years and they're so in sync.
It's like they see each other.
Yeah, like on the job, like at the fucking dumb TikTok people's
Yes.
house. Right? They were immediately in sync, jump into the pool, like no looking at each other, like grab them at the same time. Like
actually, I think Buck jumped in we see Buck jump in the pool first, but Eddie goes right back in after. So it's that flip situation where, again, generally like they are in sync because they didn't have to discuss it between each other first, but it is that reciprocated, like, you know, Eddie really does have Buck's back now. Just like they said. So
and he can follow Buck's lead just like Buck will acquiesce and follow
they
his
are
lead.
On the same page. And for you know, something that we've talked about in season 1 and a little bit with like Bobby and Athena, with people who are on relationships, platonic, romantic, whatever, relationships that are not on the same page. It's amazing how like instantaneously that flip is switched for Buck and Eddie and they are on the same page. And like so consistently throughout the series. I mean, there's always going to be like a little bit of conflict here and there, but like just generally speaking,
in sync and inseparable. Like we see them when they're in frame, when they're in the background, like blurred out. They don't know
Blurry
what
husbands.
personal space is. They've never met her. They've never heard of her. I just
like after the calendar announcement and everything else, and we see like the focus is on like Athena and Hen, or Athena and Bobby and something else. And you just see them hanging out in the back, like shoulder to shoulder. And it's just
hip
like
to hip. Eddie at one point literally gets up to scoot closer to him in the back.
It goes from 0 to 100 so quickly. And again, it's part of that like you know, when they're on the same page and they're a team
it's
and they're
mutual.
unit. Yes.
It's not just like, oh, Buck's puppy mode was activated and he's all over him. He is, but Eddie is also reciprocating
they
that
complement
energy and attention
so well. Oh wait, we also haven't talked about when they actually make the calendar announcement.
No, we haven't. I'm just laughing at Han because she's dying.
Just to add to the ridiculousness.
because Buck is so embarrassing.
It is embarrassing because we're gonna see this happen again
and
so again and again and again. And like this is evidence here where people should have like this is okay. So this is season 2, episode 1. This is evidence that Evan Buck Buckley is bisexual. Because okay. So to set it up, Bobby's announcing the winner and like Buck immediately is like, yeah, congratulations, GI, because at the time he's like trying to give him a nickname or whatever, but it's
so funny.
It's a dumb nickname. But like he immediately assumes it's Eddie. Okay, so that is evidence number 1 that he thinks that the man's attractive. The man is attractive to him. Okay,
that's how he was introduced.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that
he was introduced in Buck's gaze.
Yes. So evidence number 1, bisexual, right there. And plus the other stuff, which is the praise king, the competency king, the blushing, the twirling of the hair, the kicking of the feet, the giggling.
My God,
giggle.
Me?
He's so embarrassing. Also, shout out to Oliver Stark, who we should like put a link to this clip in here, where in one of the interviews after, you know, Buck Bothered and Bewildered, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
In one of those interviews, he was talking about how that scene specifically, like he was attracted to Eddie. So
yeah, and it's like I think he was looking at it more on like a hindsight sort of thing, like a confirmation bias sort of thing. But that doesn't mean
that's
that
how
it's not
bisexuality
there.
works.
Exactly.
Though. When you are a
like,
late in life bisexual realizer, acknowledger,
it's reframing.
Once you accept it, right, you start reframing a lot of shit in your past. You start looking at a lot of your friendships, and you're like, maybe
that wasn't exactly what I thought it was in reality.
So maybe I check out a hot guy's ass. That's normal. It's not normal.
And I mean, who else has the biggest dump truck on the show?
Whose ass would he be checking out?
The one that he has to work with every day.
It's just really funny to me that Buck is canonically an ass man. Like, can't blame him for it.
Another way in which we are similar. He knows what's up.
Oh boy. But yeah, it's like, so that whole ending with the calendar announcement, and it's just such a funny flip of the entire episode up till, you know, the point where they came to like a mutual understanding with each other, because now Buck is trying to give him a nickname because he's part of the group and he's his guy, you know. So, and then just like the like he's fully accepted him as part of the team, as part of a unit, but also like as his
immediate
partner, because you see it like in this scene, like all of the characters are kind of like partnered up with each other, because you've got Bobby and Athena again, and you've got Hen and Chimney, and then you have Buck and Eddie, and they are just like, they are cornered off with each other immediately. Like, bygones be bygones. What just happened? Nobody cares. It's in the past. Like, we're besties now, or more. And it's just like, it's so funny, because like his immediate reaction is like, yeah, they picked Eddie, because why wouldn't they? It's just like a foregone conclusion to him.
It's they didn't pick me. Well, obviously they picked Eddie.
And it also,
who else would they pick?
It just shows like how quickly the littlest things he needed to kind of heal, to work on starting to heal himself from all of these insecurities that he was suffering from the entire episode, because one comment from Eddie saying like, you can have my back. Yeah, you're pretty cool under pressure. And Buck's all like, no, it's okay. I don't need the calendar thing anymore. Like, this guy's got it in the bag. Like, it's totally fine. It's whatever, because I am worthy in this person's eyes, and just like raising him onto this pedestal of like someone that he can truly trust so quickly. And it's just like, oh.
Beautiful.
And it's someone who makes him feel less lonely.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's just really lovely.
It's good timing to have him introduced to, because not only is he going to have someone at work to, you know, keep him away from like the whole like loneliness aspect that Abby left behind. I mean, he also has a sister, but like this is just an added extra. I'm happy for him. He has found another person.
Good job, Bobby.
Good job, Bobby.
Yep.
Bobby deserves awards for this. Matchmaker Bobby for the win.
Yep.
Like, he knows. He's good at that. He knew exactly what Buck needed.
I can't wait to continue having 1 hour long segments of slow burn now that we have entered the Eddie phase.
It's just gonna get gayer and gayer.
Oh,
It's great.
can't wait till we get to season 4, end of season 4.
I love it here. I love it here.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I live here now.
I can't wait for the fucking tsunami arc. That's what I can't wait for.
Yes.
Rachel.
Sorry, I was a little too excited.
Maniacal. Oh my god.
It's the season.
I'm scared.
You're here for tsunami. I'm here for shooting arc. Rachel, what are you
I'm
here for?
for shooting too.
Yeah, but I'm more excited for that one.
Both.
Both. Both is good.
Both is good. I can't choose.
Oh, the well. The well's gonna be
well.
good.
The breakdown.
Ooh.
The Buck, just in general, Buck begins. Oh god, so many good, so many good things. So many good things.
I just can't wait. I'm just so excited that we finally get to talk about Eddie.
Yes.
In episodes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I forgot to say this at the beginning. I did 40 minutes of research on dogs.
Oh my god.
I was just gonna say, the black cat has finally arrived for our Australian Shepherd dog.
Everyone's gonna be like, what do you mean? He's a golden retriever.
He's a golden retriever. No. He is a tan
I get it. You were
Australian Shepherd dog with blue eyes.
when I saw the picture of the dog that you were just that you were talking about, I was like, okay, yeah.
We can put a link to the picture.
Yeah.
It's very
but
cute.
his black cat is here. And I'm so excited for him. I'm so excited for Eddie too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Eddie deserves his loyal dog.
Yeah. He deserves the person that's gonna have his back.
I can't wait to like actually legitimately like track how they grow individually.
It's gonna be so much
but
fun
also,
to like break it down
together,
every
yeah.
episode and then like look back as we go.
Yeah.
It's gonna be so much
It's
fun.
going to be so, I think, rewarding to be able to look at that like trajectory.
And the parallels that they're gonna have with Athena
Bubby
and Maddie. Yes.
Yeah, you can't tell me that it's not somewhat intentional.
Yeah.
You're gonna look at me and tell me I'm wrong? Grow up.
I can't wait. I know we were just talking about like arcs that we're excited for, but I also can't wait to not meet, but see Christopher again, since we have left off. He's just a little baby.
We get to do that soon. It's the next one.
Isn't that the next episode? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And just like an extra facet to their relationship. And it's just like, come on. We love these characters so much. Not just Buck and Eddie, but like all of them so much. And they're just like, oh, they're so
get to
wonderful.
Get to draw out real-time timeline of Buck baby trapping himself.
fairly immediately.
Mm-hmm.
He said, oh,
you have a kid? Cool, so do I now.
Like that. Come on.
You so crazy. I want to have your baby. This is their song. This is what they should dance to at their wedding. Anyway, I think we have prattled on quite enough. We could keep going, but we shan't because it is almost 3 a.m.
We're just so happy to be finally in season 2 and the ball really gets rolling and can't wait to keep it on.
Yeah.
Remember, don't disassemble a grenade.
But if you do,
Take a buddy with you.
thank you for listening to the Buddy System podcast from start to finish.
We literally cannot shut up about 911, so please come talk to us on your favorite social media platform.
We're at Buddy System Pod everywhere. That's BUDDIE System Pod.
Leave a 5-star review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts to get a personal shout out in the next episode. The Buddy System is a Nerdvergent media production featuring music from Divinity.
Can't get enough of the buddies? Subscribe to our Patreon for access to exclusive content in our Discord community.
Catch you next time. And don't forget,
Bring a buddy with you.